My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, I'm going to document the entity that is stalking me as I walk into the grocery store. I've captured this on video already, the ambush conduct. And this is while David Quinonez is also monitoring my vagina, ambushing my vagina, and everything concerning my vagina in the bathroom, where the demons are on surveillance cameras, gang stalking. They're on the work schedule, gang stalking. They're on the surveillance cameras used to monitor with the government criminally. I'm going to use that because they're engaged in federal stalking. I'm going to use all the footage. It's all my evidence, contrary to what these demons are practicing and what they think. License 23103, Uncle 1, surveillance with the Ontario International Airport. And it's 6:18 a.m. And as I walk toward the entrance, a hefty male, appears to be Latino, wearing a Teamster black jacket, and I refer to the camera. He's threatening me. He's stalking me with the airport as I walk in. In the same way, I document this as I walk out, and the entity is engaging what is stalking directly in the path of the door. The fake sun is over me. The people of the state are stalking, molesting with impossible light. This is all manner of terrorism, which I'm also going to prosecute under federal RICO, Stater Brothers. License 8, Mary, Indiana, Apple 863. I want you to listen to the plane activity. They're in a grocery store stalking. That's psychotic. This is evidence that's going to be used to diagnose, have committed criminal stalkers. 7 Henry, Xavier Nancy, 535. 7 Larry, Charlie Kelly, 299. Charlie Larry Apple, 4 Xavier Nancy. That's an Arizona plate. And as I document systematic gang stalking, it is a basis of federal prison. That is if you're already not going to prison. and the entity is going to be prosecuted under laws that are going to uniformly apply. 9 Sam Apple Robert 935, like Salvador, he's going to prison. License plate 9 Kelly Thomas Yolanda 741, 8 Xavier Queen George 084. Stalking in the back of the parking lot 76450 Zebra 3, and this is a third-party gang stalking company. CTS, I documented them gang stalking me at the coin laundry. Okay, I took a picture of the hefty white male. He's engaging in surveillance by centering his attention visibly on laundry. He's doing so under that fake sun that you see over that laundromat yesterday during the 8 a.m. hour. While Southwest Airlines is on video during the 7 a.m. hour stalking over that side of the village. That side of the village where the Ontario police are gang stalking at San Antonio and Holt yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the entity that's stalking. CTS, third party. License plate. Listen to that plane activity. CTS is indeed stalking. That's 76450 Zebra 3. Stater Brothers is indeed stalking. Griffith Company is in the parking lot, indeed, stalking. 6 Charlie, Uncle George, 756. And you know who's going to prison? The one that you saw on video yesterday, engaging in what is using a traffic stop as a means of stalking. The same ingredients. Light activity, relevant positioning. You got to do the traffic stop relevant to where I'm located. And you're doing it while you're monitoring, where the entity is engaging in aerial surveillance under things like a fake sun that sits on the same block. Where Griffith Company, a gang stalking company, a violent sex offender, using Griffith Company vehicles to keep my vagina under surveillance, waiting until I go into the bathroom, waiting until my legs are spread apart, waiting until I'm disrobed, waiting until my panties are down, waiting until I'm in position bent over to engage in what is amplified audible activity while a sex offender sits in the dark in operation of a device, being a sex offender with the U.S. government, doing so in the name of Griffith Company, California license 88. Griffith Company is a very heavily documented terrorist. They like to, in other words, engage in more gang stalking, as I document, in conformity to the psychopaths who are demon-possessed. License plate 53672 Edward 4. Light activity while you hear Union Pacific. The demons are in sync. Over here parked in the corner of the parking lot, doing so under a fake moon, just like at Superior Grocer under the fake sun, making sure they maintain all 4 corners of the parking lot where the entity's engaging in that. And they're here to keep vagina under surveillance. That's why they're here. I'm going to prosecute companies as sex offenders that they are. Griffith Company conspiring murder, monitoring my vagina and doing so as an ongoing perpetual sex offender, conspiring my murder with the government, and gang stalking while having the audacity to make money. I hope you're ready, because I'm going to shut that company down. You will not be using any licensure because you're losing it based upon gang stalking. Pacing, mentally ill behavior, psychopath, license plate 51183 Barry 3. You listen to how loud it's getting, because these demons are monitoring. And they're listening to themselves being documented. That's why the entity is stalking where I'm located by plane, stalking where I'm located under a fake moon, stalking where I'm located with amplified audible activity, mentally deranged behavior. While you're selling donuts at Miss Donuts, while you're operating a laundry mat at Coin Laundry, while you're operating a grocery store, Stater Brothers, while you're on the roads and the highways, Holt Boulevard, San Antonio, while you're gang stalking to the train station, Union Pacific, while you're stalking in this parking lot. They're monitoring all together, and they all center their attention around my blessed vagina. P.O.C. License 36325 George 2. Sex offenders, a whole bunch of sex offenders that are murderers. They're demons. 51183 Barry 3. Gang stalking with everything that you just heard at the Stater Brothers to engage in surveillance of vagina. And they come and buy a donut. They come and stalk in the grocery store, and then they go with the rest of their day, and they think that makes them not look like they're stalkers, that they're not vagina monitors. It is literally the receipts I'm going to use to drag them in court as the sex offenders that they are. License 5W Charlie Apple 637. David Quinones is being prosecuted. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted. This is how bright they are. Sitting around like a psychopath, aiming light on the wall where my vagina is disrobed on the opposite side of it, stalking another sex offender, another homosexual predator. License plate 7 Zebra Nancy Roberts 628, and they're vagina monitoring with David Quinones. P.O.C. Pacing in the parking lot in engineer light under a fake moon where the fake sun rises and sets, where the fake sun is still here after 5 p.m. yesterday. Stalking with light is a mentally ill behavior, and the airport is being shut down for this unprecedented means of public corruption, surveillance of vagina. Homosexuals that are gang stalking, like this third party in this vehicle, a psychopath. Aiming light in the area where the bathroom is anticipated to be in use, where a population engages in what is surveillance of genitalia on a daily, ceaseless basis. P.O.C. You will be prosecuted for using your brake lights. It's literally that simple. You're catching federal cases. 9 Bob David Charlie 541. 8 Mary Indiana Apple 863 surveillance at the front of the store. This is an employee, a vagina monitor. 8 Frank Sam Frank 074. This is P.O.C. And this is while the entity is watching me document. I'm going to publish the completion of the podcast for yesterday, March 11, 2026, where a bunch of vagina monitors are prosecuted already. And I'm documenting the fact that Hernandez is going to prison in conformity to a pattern of conduct and establishing what is a precedent to disband gang members like the Ontario Police Department, because this is what's happening regarding the Los Angeles Police Department, keeping me under surveillance in my apartment and at work, creating what is this ongoing harm while I'm subject now homeless, being gang stalked. And they did this in order to commit murder. But this is the plot twist. You're going to prison. And you're losing everything. This is P.O.C. It's 6:25 a.m. All right, 6:28 a.m. And like I stated, commensurate to the level of documentation that the demons are triggered by, fearful of, the more psychopathic behavior they engage in, meaning they pace more frequently, they pace in more expensive manners, they pace in more disturbing ways. The light activity, the amplified audible activity, and at a grocery store, it's the entity that's doing so with planes. You'll see them surrounding the doorway with engineered light. Those are demons cloaking themselves while they're stalking using the vehicles. That's engineered light. You already know that they're not headlights while they're stalking with light. They're doing so, as I'm showing you, the same thing while sunlight is the guise of that, while the sun is rising here while I'm here at 6:30 in the morning. And this is the same venue where the fake sun was here after 5 p.m. yesterday. But nonetheless, you're looking at them framing the doorway and both of the parking spots at the front entrance, while the fake moon is right here at the front entrance, and while the Ontario International Airport is flying over stalking. They're monitoring evidence. That's federal stalking. It's conspiracy to murder with the government. It's vicarious conduct on behalf of the state, and this is the same exact pattern of conduct Hernandez is engaging in with the people of the state, whom the entity pulls over to commit the same criminal pattern of conduct. He's going to prison for that psychopathic means of stalking me and seeking to get away with it by wearing that uniform that I'm going to strip him of. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that. You'll see those images uploaded, and it is 6:30 a.m. where that ongoing terrorism is speaking to what they're doing in the grocery store. There are a bunch of demons, a bunch of zombies pacing around wearing Stater Brothers uniforms on camera. P.O.C. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pacing. Devices in hand and on camera at the entrance. And that's what the entity's doing, flying over me with planes, pacing. And you already know what Phil Stater Brothers, impossible light activity, they are the demon possessed. P.O.C. (7:11 a.m.) And serial stalker license 6 Victor Edward Zebra 061. The state is engaging in the pattern of conduct under the fake sun that is quote unquote rising at the same Ontario Town Square where the city of Ontario was stalking by helicopter and planes yesterday after 5 p.m. And that's where you will be prosecuted as a serial stalker, not because you work at the venue and you're delusional thinking that you have a place of belonging and that you're not going to be prosecuted and identified under federal law as maliciously engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder. License 6 Victor Edward Zebra 061 is just that. Working under the fake sun, living at a facilitated venue under the fake sun, which is stalking with that government that you are listening to, stalking by planes on this side of the street, the Ontario Village Shopping Center, not over the opposite side, the Superior Grocer side, like they are at this same block after 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, under the fake sun. License plate 5 Edward Zebra Mary 554. In the blue cable with no front grille. this is a serial stalker as well, very heavily documented gang stalking. It is currently 7:13 a.m. This is P.O.C. 7:15 a.m. You can hear that plane activity. That's the evidence regarding all of the illusions that the demon possess that are gang stalking, thinking that they're protected while they're stalking indeed where they live, where they work, where they travel, where they're engaging in consumerism, where they're engaging in the pattern of conduct with that government that's providing evidence against them regarding the substance, not the appearance of what it is that you're engaging in, and it's criminal surveillance everywhere and at all times, which does not provide a warranted, under the law, any warranted basis for the government to vicariously gang stalk anyone, including while you live, work, travel, which is what the people of the state are doing at Ontario Village Shopping Center. 7:15 a.m. plane activity, license plate 47735 Charlie 4, P.O.C. The fake sun is here right now at 7:16 a.m. And I've already captured this on video. Standard time, that would be 6:16 a.m. The entity is stalking by the Ontario Police Department in images along Holt Boulevard, stalking by crossing path on Holt Boulevard. I'm walking from the town square, 224 North Euclid Avenue to 815 West Holt. Ontario Police are on the record stalking me. In particular, the fake sun is over me at the same village while I'm walking on Holt Boulevard, and that fake sun is over me at the Ontario Village signage. I'm taking a picture of the people of the state stalking at the driveway of this village. You can see the fake sun over the village sign for, I did that for a reason, where the police are stalking with the people of the state, just like third-party license plate. 8 Frank Yolanda Wendy 923. The Ontario Police are then again engaging what is documented acts of psychological torture. They're going to prison for this. It's criminal stalking that they're engaging on the roads and the highways. And I captured it on video at San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, where the fake sun is over me, on the San Antonio side of the same village, where the airport is stalking at 7:15 a.m. under the fake sun, and again at 7:17 a.m. And the entity is engaging in this on video, where they are stalking me as a department at this same Ontario Village Shopping Center, which is on video right before 2 p.m., where the entity is engaging in conduct speaking to what is stalking one specific person that has the presence of mind to document the demon possession and the criminal activity of that agency that's going to prison. And they also are stalking, like last night, by helicopter, and Hernandez is going to prison behind it. This is the entity that's doing so. 7 to what is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that is not the sun, that's the crime scene where an agency is proven to be stalking someone and psychologically torturing that person. And there are also demons that are highly unintelligent, because I had the body of evidence to already disband them while they're still stalking me. That's also why they're going to prison. I documented those demons pacing at San Antonio at the light. The entities engage in what is criminal stalking on the roads and the highways with the people of the state who are stalking me because that agency is engaging in it, and they're going to prison for that as well. This is what is behind the Ontario International Airport stalking at the village at 7:18 a.m. Doing so while I am, again, publishing on my device, which the entity is keeping under surveillance, the completion of the rest of the commentary that I captured. The entity stalking me by helicopter is at the end of the podcast for March 11, 2026. The entity engaging in what is stalking me by helicopter, and no one is forgetting what was Hernandez doing. He was doing exactly what I said he was doing. He's doing what that agency is doing by helicopter. He was gang stalking. And the entity that's engaging in not law enforcement and has no protections, no immunity, and has no police association that has any standing or relevance in a federal prosecution for gang stalking, it's engaging in that, and it is directly pointing to what Hernandez is committing under the fake sun, which puts you entirely outside of any umbrella of protection regarding what is proven targeting by the state. P.O.C. 7:19 a.m. That's the same entity using small government plane and combining Union Pacific, which is not even on the railroad. It's the sound of a train. It says demonic as the fake sun. There's no train. It's the sound of a train. And it's even the planes that are stalking in the sky space, it's not the sound of that actual plane. It's amplified audible activity. It's as impossible and supernatural as the light that you see flying through the air that the demons are driving in, while the light ricochets and somehow it's touching my person and moving across substances, this is demonic activity. The entity is going to be committed and criminally prosecuted with their own witchery. They're going to be put in facilities, and that's not going to be the product of a witch hunt. It's going to be the product of me documenting their mental illness while they attack me as psychopaths, stalking, trying to murder me in secret. License plate 7 Bob Wendy Bob 267. She's gang stalking with the state that's stalking by plane. Pay attention to how the train gets louder while the demons listen to me document their mental illness. Oh, now it sounds like multiple trains. Union Pacific is going to be prosecuted for this. Union Pacific has been targeting with the Ontario Police. The Pomona Police Department is on the record as well, targeting with Union Pacific. They are also targeting in Las Vegas, Nevada. That would be Nevada State Police and Metropolitan. I'm going to prosecute them. P.O.C. And how you know Union Pacific is targeting me is because in Las Vegas, Nevada, the fake sun is in alignment to me in my vehicle in Las Vegas, Nevada after 5 p.m. when Union Pacific is using the railroads and the highways. Well, it's intersecting with the highways where the people of the state are monitoring to the criminal activity creation of Union Pacific in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the entity is engaging what is now in motion on the train when the entity is sounding train activity with no train in motion. I've been documenting this. P.O.C. Okay, you'll recall the video documentation of the Ontario International Airport stalking while I am at what is at the Imperial Place Apartments. There's a coward that's hiding within the gates of a property. He doesn't want to show me his back license plate while he's stalking with the airport. That is flying over the same side of the street that I'm on east of this location when I'm walking to the village. This is during the 1 p.m. hour. And I was noting at that time while the airport was stalking on video, doing so, and I'm recalling in that video, I'm helping you remember when I'm at the village and the entity's engaging in what UPS just conducted right now, as though they're rising in elevation coming from an airport, engaging in what is a takeoff. They're doing so while this demon's engaged in surveillance in the parking lot. License plate. This fat-faced demon, 9 Edward Sam Mary 957, a Latina female, another homosexual predator stalking me, doing so with the government. That includes UPS. That's a third party, and that third party license plate. Third parties that are targeting with the government. Okay, the entity's engaging in this conduct, and I told you in that video, in the middle of the afternoon, where the fake sun is still over me like it is now at 7:34 a.m., that the entity is then going to, it's stalking, engaging in the same ritualistic conduct, entity based on where I'm at. So when I'm at the Ontario Town Square east of this location, they're acting like they're taking off there from the city hall. When I am west of that location, okay, logically, everybody, these are the demons that, again, they're starting over. They don't remember anything. They don't have a greater aerial view of anything. They are engaging in what's happening right now in this second. And as you document their idiocy, this is how you're looking at the greater pattern of conduct and very clear stalking, targeting by an airport. Which under all circumstances has no terminals that are including hovering over the Pizza Hut parking lot at G Street and Euclid. That is including what is hovering over 6th Street and Euclid Avenue when I'm walking at the 10 freeway coming from Upland, California. When you are hovering over Woodside Senior Apartments, flying and hovering over 325 West G Street at Fern Avenue and G Street. The entity is engaging what is yesterday on video at 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm walking toward this same venue where I'm at right now at 7. That is the fake sun that traveled east to remain over the town square and then is remaining over my head as I'm traveling west along the same streets, and the fake sun is remaining over me. And they're doing so while they are hovering, acting like they're taking off east of this location, whereas when I'm at this location right here, UPS is engaging what is rising as though they're taking off at Bonita. Okay, that's what I just took a picture of, and you're seeing the fake sun rise. You're going to look at the Ontario Police in helicopter with the fake sun set after 5 p.m. yesterday. All right, and that is the entity engaging in the conduct, which is putting third parties like 6VEZ061 in a federal predicament.
That's a federal prosecution. All right. The entity is engaging in the admission of gang stalking, where you live, where you work, etc. This is the pattern of conduct by the government, and the government has framed the people of the state as the co-defendants. And I did that unilaterally with my evidence, and the entity is so obsessed with me and so deranged regarding what is literally you're inferior to me, and you engage in more and more that is serving me, and that's all that you are capable of doing because you are in fact inferior to me. You're demons. But they engaged in more and more stalking, providing more and more evidence for you, because this is not just for me to prosecute, it's for you to learn, to not be ignorant of the enemy's devices. The excuse me, the enemy, who is very real, he is a spirit. It's Satan himself, and he uses people. These people are subdued. These are the living dead. These are demon possessed. They've been, in other words, wicked for a very long time. They've been engaged in dead practices for a very long time. And what I'm exposing is long overdue, but it's right on time with regard to what Christ's plan is. And you need to know that for whatever reason. I'm not God, but I'm just speaking with regard to what I have been shown, what it is that I've experienced, what I have personal knowledge of. And I'm also prosecuting it in order to prove to you with tangible evidence, so that you don't have to listen to mysteries of people talking about weird sorcery and mystical things that you don't have any evidence of, so that you're not deceived. Because anybody claiming that they're speaking on the authority of Christ is not going to conflict with scripture, number one, and they're also not going to be speaking some mystery that, and you don't have any proof to know that they're telling you the truth. The Lord God gave it to you in the form of what is a federal prosecution. I have to prove everything with tangible evidence in a court of law. The court can't even disregard what it is that I'm telling you about the demon possessed. That's how much evidence you have. It's in the physical for you. It's undeniable. This is P.O.C. The entity is stalking, and you're looking at that ongoing evidence of stalking, which is also occurring in the form of, you're taking off at the Ontario City Hall. You're taking off over that is C Street and Fern. And then when I'm west of this location, UPS is taking off right here. By taking off, meaning you're rising in elevation over this Bonita Street into the village, and then does a cartwheel over the Habit restaurant. And where's Habit? Right in front of me. When I'm walking outside of the Stater Brothers, where's the airport engaging in cartwheels? Right in front of me. All right. When I am at the Superior Grocers across the street, where's the entity stalking? Are they flying on this side of the street? No, they're on the opposite side of the street where I'm at, and they're engaging in cartwheels and flying over me at that location where the fake sun is still on this same street. Just want to be clear, 646 West Holt Boulevard and 818 West Holt Boulevard on the opposite sides of San Antonio. 0.4 miles. It's a 3-minute drive. It's about a 5-minute walk. The sun didn't go anywhere. And UPS isn't going anywhere either. They're so obsessed with my anus. You like monitoring my vagina? You are essentially going to be kissing my anus when I prosecute you in court, because that's the posture that you have. All right? And it's fitting, since you're so obsessed with my genitalia. That's exactly what you're going to be doing with regard to compensation and with regard to going to federal prison. Very real people that are stalking in these planes are going to be in facilities. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:39 a.m. Oh, I've got some stalkers being bashful. License plate 9 Wendy Kelly Edward 388, and doing so terrorizing me with impossible light activity. All right, this demon that's driving off in a damaged black Corolla, which is dusty, and so is he. But I just want to be clear, there's no vantage point of the fake sun that causes the engineer light that fans across the black asphalt. That's a demon that's stalking. The evidence of stalking is not only your presence, it's not only the government that's stalking at the same location, in the same manner, in the same environment, but the maintenance of what is impossible to coexist with anything that you're doing, which is this impossible light. You're a stalker, and everyone knows it. This is the signature of stalking in that engineer light. Stalking pursuant to what? The significance of that light activity, because they're monitoring spirits. They're monitoring you. It's P.O.C. 7:43 a.m. Oh, okay. That's activity creation. 7:45. Well, excuse me, it's 7:48 right now. Starting the recording at approximately 7:46, 7:47 a.m. While the entity that you hear stalking by planes under a fake sun that's still here after 5 p.m. Kia is gang stalking at the register. She's an African-American female. The hollowed out zombie that's on video stalking with the Ontario International Airport. A bunch of hostile sex offenders engaging in what is ongoing delusional acts of retaliation. Retaliation is when you are successfully getting some means of revenge. You're not getting anything. You're getting time in prison. You're getting a criminal record as a vagina monitor. I don't know what in that is satisfying, but they're mentally ill. And this same zombie that's on video under the 8 a.m. fake sun, which I then document all the license plates in that village, he is gang stalking and monitoring my vagina while a sex offender comes inside to stalk me inside of a bathroom, which is a sexually motivated, sexually violent, and sexually inspired, perverted means of psychological torture and a threat. This is the entity that's acting toward murder and kidnapping, and they're coming in a bathroom in furtherance of that criminal pattern of conduct. And it's the same government that's pacing over me, stalking me at the Ontario Village, the same department that's stalking me as and disguising itself as a police department. That's what's gang stalking, and David Quinones, okay, is the one that's engaging in vagina monitoring at Stater Brothers. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:49 a.m. Alrighty, the entity engaging in criminal summoning. This is a bald-headed sex offender with Stevie Wonder glasses on. No offense to Stevie Wonder, but he's wearing glasses trying to disguise his identity. The entity sounds sirens as I walk out. That's equally threatening, equally as targeting under the fake sun as the impossible light touching my person as I walk outside. Equally threatening as the entity flying over the top of my head by commercial plane as I walk outside. Equally threatening as the entity stalking by helicopter as I walk outside. License 9 Frank Uncle Zebra 768. And this is the sex offender, the entity that is targeting by going into the restroom. This is what Griffith Company is engaging in by being in the parking lot, maintaining presence around the peripheral, making sure I'm surrounded, in other words, covering all four corners, right? While the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance, doing so in the dark to keep my vagina under surveillance. In the event I go in the bathroom, Griffith Company is on it. They are on it. They are on vagina detail. And they're going to lose their licensure behind that for conspiring murder, not engaging in construction. P.O.C. It is currently 8:05 a.m. License 9 Charlie Nancy Victor 133. That's the people of the state that are under the fake sun, stalking through the neighborhood with the Ontario police that are pacing around me. Doing so through the back alley where I've documented the helicopter stalking me on the back portion of the village. A vehicle is stalking there, and then as I walk, I'm walking on Bonita where the entity is stalking with the fake sun, and the demons are in multiple vehicles of the Ontario police following me while I'm leaving the village center. And they're doing this with regard to the evidence as I speak to the fact that they're demons, and I documented them stalking on HOLT Boulevard, and they're on video stalking here. They engage in repeating it again. They're doing so while I am in operation of my device right now. The podcast is forming. What you're going to, because these demons like Hernandez are going to prison. All right, they are literally engaging in criminal conduct when they are engaging in psychopathic behaviors of demons regarding what is an illusion that they were living in, that they were never going to answer for the criminal conduct that they've already committed, that the world is going to learn about as well. Because I'm not the only one, I'm just the one that's prosecuting them for it. They're reaping a lot. License 9 George Apple George 992, where the people of the state are stalking me on the sidewalk, walking in front of me while the fake sun is over me, doing so at 507 West Vesta Street. On behalf of the Ontario police that are pacing, just like inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, for example, when I'm sitting at computer number 1 and the demons are walking along both sides of the computer in the engineered light, they're pacing all around, they're stalking, they're surrounding. This is what the entity is doing in police vehicles. That agency is being disbanded. And they're doing so while I am walking back from where I've been at, the Ontario Village Shopping Center, and they're doing so at that same, with knowledge of the fact that it's being documented. They engage in more criminal conduct to their own demise. These are suicidal people, I want to be clear. These are the type of cowards who will put a bullet to their own temples before they're able to face the consequences of the things that they've done. That's what's gang stalking me, okay? And they're doing so while they are actually in fear, engaging in more documented acts of terrorism. And what you're going to focus in on, because the Ontario police are already handled, they're already handled. The demon that's stalking in the bathroom, you can see those feet under that irrelevant position is what that's referred to under the law. That's the Ontario police stalking in the bathroom. And that's why the Stater Brothers the Stater Brothers parking lot is a crime scene. The Stater Brothers grocery store and the bathroom are all crime scenes. That's what you're mindful of, while the Ontario police are roaches surrounding me, stalking, because they're intimidated and fearful of me. And they should be. What's wrong with them is that they engage in more criminal acts in furtherance of murder while they are fearful of those consequences. That's a threat to the public. These are that mental illness disorder is what engages in, I'm going to go murder this person or these people because I don't want to be held accountable for what it is that I've done. And they do that. In the face of evidence, it's already known what you've done, and murdering more people is not going to cause you to escape it. But this is how that sick mind works. It's the spirit of Satan. They are indeed demons. The entities engaging what is doing that in Ontario police vehicles. It's a matter of evidence. They're already surrounded. The fact that the Ontario police are stalking is established. I don't have to make up anything. The prosecution of that department is already complete. I want to document that because as the entity is stalking me in the bathroom, like Stater Brothers is, David Quinones, the manager of vagina monitoring at that venue, is going to be federally prosecuted for the terrorism that's underway in a private space, an unprecedented sex offense committed as an entity, where that is a facilitating venue conspiring my murder. And it's going to be one of the many companies that are going to be prosecuted for criminal activity, and they're also going to be held civilly liable for their criminal conduct, which you can't quantify. You can't quantify that you were keeping my vagina under surveillance as a public entity inside of that venue. You can't quantify the ongoing criminal conspiracy to murder me. While you're gang stalking, you are acting in furtherance of that criminal conspiracy. You are a co-conspirator. While you crawl your cockroach self in that bathroom to be next to me while you know my vagina is in use, is exposed, while I'm indisposed, engaged in private activity. And the reality is that the government has no warrant or probable cause to keep my vagina under surveillance, like the Ontario police show and demonstrate that they are, while they're stalking me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, which I'm showing you through multiple angles, keeping evidence regarding their surveillance of myself, which is underscored with the evidence of a fake sun. They're at all angles all around me under that fake sun that's there for the duration of the day. And they're doing so while I'm walking around. And they're engaging in that conduct regarding, I am the federal prosecutor, you can't intimidate, you're going to prison behind this. These are demons, they're inferior. That's why it takes a whole league of them to lose. You're walking around with a gun on your waist though, because you have some false sense of your ego, you're going to prison. Where people that are also not scared of you are going to put you in your place as well. I just want to be clear, that's what they're reaping. They've been engaging in bullying people, they've been engaged in stealing from people, they've been engaged in setting people up, lying on people, murdering people like LAPD did, turning their sirens on, it's called criminal summoning, and running over the people of the state, and then claiming that you're going to conduct an investigation. That was a murder committed by this entity. You want to know what LAPD did? Look at my documentation regarding what is criminal summoning. It was murder. This is P.O.C. They're engaged in criminal surveillance. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct encounter with the people of the state, such as at 218 West C Street, who's engaged in surveillance, license 9 Paul Zebra Frank 062. While the entity is stalking me through the neighborhood, don't forget what I documented on video and the engineered environment, where she's communicating a threat to call the gang stalkers themselves. And this old biddy's going to prison. She likes to sit in her car instead of be in her house and mind her business, and that's why she's going to prison. License 8 VVV 918, impossible light while those demons get inside of that vehicle. The fake sun is over me at this venue at 10 o'clock in the morning. You hear them start their ignition. It's on behalf of the Ontario police, who are stalking me obsessively. And they're obsessed with my vagina. Do not be deceived when demons are married, when they claim to be in relationships, they're all obsessed with my vagina. The demon possessed are violent sex offenders, and they're obsessed with the anatomy of the one that they are gang stalking, spiritually attacking, intimately attacking someone. 8 Thomas Charlie Nancy 084. Those are demons that maintain an illusion regarding their whole reality. If you were happy, you wouldn't be gang stalking. P.O.C. All right, at 303, what is that? 303 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is gang stalking in the parking lot, which I've already documented, where the Ontario police are claiming police training at 7 in the morning. And where, again, at 6 p.m. at the same venue, the entity is stalking by helicopter. And the entity is gang stalking at what is B Street, where Montez is gang stalking on video with helicopter. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity Stater Brothers is being prosecuted while the Ontario police are showing what is under surveillance, which is my vagina in the bathroom, where David Quinones is provided a disservice by the vagina monitors themselves, facilitating sexual violence. And that's the disbanding of an agency that are engaged in stalking. It's P.O.C. It's 8:21 a.m.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
I'm going to give you the daytime version of what you saw the agency doing the exact same thing while I was documenting a parking lot. Two demons in vehicles like this were aiming their light toward me, and as I showed you behind me in this gate, it was engineer light behind, and this is where the Ontario International Airport is. They're going to prison. License plate 1644200 and license 1706920, and they're stalking in the path. This is what they're doing over the parking lot, and that's Amazon Prime in particular. And this is psychological torture. This is what the department is doing at Holt Boulevard at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The agency is stalking by helicopter, where this fake sun I'm going to show you right here is remaining over me. And they're stalking with the airport, just like Hernandez is doing in the afternoon at 815 West Holt Boulevard. Hernandez is going to prison. He's going to prison. These are vagina monitors. Stater Brothers is stalking in the bathroom. Stater Brothers is stalking as an establishment, and they're doing the same thing at nightfall. The engineer light is what's surrounding. The fake sun is over me. The fake sun remains at the same venue. The entity is targeting in the same exact manner. That's a cartwheel. Where is it in alignment to? Where I'm located, where this entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing. This is the criminal misuse of the resources of the city. This is the prosecution of Paul Leon as a engaging what is funding terrorism. That's how gang stalkers, terrorist leaders are going to be prosecuted. They're providing resources. It's the same thing with the municipality providing resources for terrorism. This is the entity that's engaged in that, stalking by helicopter. Every night I've been documenting stalking by helicopter, and this is the entity using their vehicles to do so. They are the mentally ill, engaging in what is the demonic pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they're obsessed with me, and there's violent sex offenders engaged in this, and this is called impunity. This is exactly what this gang conduct is going to be prosecuted. And the old biddy at 218 West C Street is threatening to call them while they're engaging in stalking together under the fake sun, the fake moon at night, and engineer light with the P.O.C. They engage in traffic stops together. That's what Hernandez is doing under the fake sun. This is the pattern of conduct. Now I want you to show the environment. I want you to see the environment where license 9PTF062 is stalking with the environment, stalking in the environment, and stalking with the department who is reciting my name. Okay, that's pursuant to what is an admission regarding stalking. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in the same thing, and this is psychopathic pacing, impossible light moving. They're demons. That's a demon. Vehicle 1115, and they're doing so under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. where the airport is stalking. All right, this is the pattern of conduct while they're engaging in surveillance while I'm documenting. Who are you?
Today, ma'am.
How can I help you?
Hey, I have a quick question for you.
Why are you here?
Well, I'm telling you. So recently you posted a video online and you were inside the library filming a female.
Is this supposed to be some sort of admission regarding your surveillance while you're looking at my evidence, which you already have knowledge of? Is this some sort of unsolicited detention? While you're while you're stopping in the middle of the street, in the parking lot, these gang members who are surrounded with guns on you, is that why you are already waiting for me in the parking lot right now? You want to talk about the admission regarding the OVITT family? This is not just a talk. This is not just a talk. You represent a department, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right, this is unorthodox, is it not? You do not have reasonable suspicion or probable cause, and you're talking about something that doesn't apply to you. Well, you already committed kidnapping, and you already know that they're already prosecuted regarding the facts. So you want to sit here and talk about OVITT Family Community Library when there's a process to go by, right? An appeal regarding false and malicious assertions. Why would I? You're threatening me. So I'm making sure I address you on video because you don't have any basis under the law to do what you're doing. And talking about OVITT Family Community Library, as far as you're concerned, is irrelevant and still a threat.
Do you want to talk about
No, talk about what?
The women's restroom
That's
inside the
a
library?
statement that you're making under the fake sun with regard to what is a written document where she wasn't there. He's calling my name out.
Haven't met them before. And this is not speaking to what is having any authority under the law either. You're not going to. This is the entity that's engaged in what is ambush conduct. That's not why they were stalking on Holt Boulevard. This is pacing. This is an admission to gang stalking, pursuant to the unlawful exclusion from OVITT Family Community Library, who was gang stalking with this department. That's Adele. She's going to prison. And this is the entity talking about the OVITT Family Community Library. They're already aware of my social media, where they're stalking me as I publish evidence on the internet on a nightly basis. While she's referring to that's an admission. That's an admission. And by the way, not that it's even relevant regarding what they just submitted right now, they're engaged in stalking like this while I am walking through the streets to the 815 West C Street. This is what Hernandez is doing regarding criminal summoning while you're stalking. And they're referring to what is the OVITT Family Community Library, what C. Gerber is giving me a paper of. So you have the whole department using these resources to address that, which is speaking to what are false allegations. Referring to my social media that they've been keeping under surveillance while they've been repeatedly kidnapping upon false assertions as well. This is the entity that engaged in what is alleging that I molested a child, and that's why Hadel committed kidnapping. That was a lie as well. This is an entity that is not helping Sean Thrasher, who was going to prison. You will never reconcile the environment, and having these demons that surround with their guns, they're going to prison. That's license 1680789, vehicle 1115. And you're also going to listen to what they stated. This is the entity that engaged in what has excluded me from the venue. While I've been documenting in Upland, showing you that they're stalking me nightly and daily by helicopter, showing that they're stalking. You're referring to as I dissected those facts that don't make any logical or chronological sense, while they're admitting to a social media that they don't have any legitimate interest in, and where there's no criminal conduct on my part published on the internet. I'm not publishing pornographic content, and there is no violation regarding documenting you monitoring my vagina, just like at Stater Brothers. But pay attention while they try to deflect, which is, again, a threat. You're not distracted at all. The fake sun is still here after 6 p.m. The entity has the fake sun in the afternoon. These are gang members, and they're all going to prison. And they've been engaging in what is stalking, just like at nightfall when I'm documenting, and they're stopping just like that. That's a threatening scene. While the entity engages in what LAPD does, taking your life and claiming that they were engaged in the execution of the duty of an officer. And they're not. This is unconstitutional, and there's nothing that she has a right to ask me about. She has no right to keep me or detain me, and it's a threat because she's gang stalking. They're all three going to prison. All of them. And it's relevant to the criminal conduct that OVITT Family Community Library is engaging, including while I'm in Upland, and you're looking at them engaging in that. And they're doing so right now because I'm publishing the podcast. I'm publishing the podcast. This is ongoing threats. They literally address what it is that they are already guilty for. I prosecute them on the internet. Again, Hadel, license 1680789, license 1644200. These gang members are going to prison, 1706920, and so is Hernandez. So is Hernandez. This is P.O.C. They are admitting to that pattern of conduct. They're admitting to Sean Thrasher making false allegations, and they're addressing what is an allegation that is unmerited, and it's unsupported, and it's also relevant to the investigation. I absolutely am, and they already know that I've been documenting them targeting me, including in the bathroom, where they are engaged in surveillance. That's the P.O.C. This is the entity that was all about me, what I'm doing on my phone right now, which is processing the podcast. Do not get, I'm pointing out multiple things that they're focused on at the same time, and it's occurring in the specific environment. The specific environment, remember, when I'm staying at the Stater Brothers, as I'm documenting, for example, the last 2 weeks before I started going to Upland, the entity is keeping the fake sun over the Stater Brothers parking lot, where the airport is stalking, just like Amazon Prime is here. And then she's talking about something that's supposed to be an important issue, something that is totally unorthodox in the middle of a parking lot. While I'm documenting them stalking, then you have a third one come to try to talk about something. Oh, this is why we're here. First of all, they're lying. Second of all, it's criminal monitoring. Third of all, it's totally unorthodox, and it is equally a threat. But while they do that, they are admitting to surveillance of my social media. Again, they're engaged in what is stalking and monitoring, regardless of what they're talking about. But what they are talking about are ongoing unlawful admissions regarding context while they are engaging in gang stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. Is that why you're stalking me through the alley every night in helicopter? Because of my social media? Is that why you're engaged in criminal summoning, harassing by demons like Hernandez, who are stalking under a fake sun as well? Because in the afternoon, on this same block at Holt Boulevard, this fake sun is still over me at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. While you're listening to what they stated, they're going to be committed with the malicious conduct while they are psychopathic engaging in that P.O.C. These are the same circumstances where they commit murder. Those 3 demons are going to prison. So is Hernandez. This is the P.O.C. And it is currently, by the way, 8:30 a.m. The entity is maintaining the fake sun over me in Upland, California, as my latest documentation shows, city-to-city documentation of the P.O.C. There is nothing that they're talking about that makes that ongoing admission of criminal surveillance by the OVITT Family Community Library meritorious, and it is not. And that is not where you're talking about that. You had C. Gerber, who's gang stalking me on March 4th, then engaging what is knowledge of that documentation, then is engaging what is calling me. When I did not ask that demon to call me. He is the threat that they utilized to give me that letter, which is an admission to targeting me. Okay, the entity is engaging what is making false allegations when nothing happened on March 2nd, and then you're talking about what happened in February of 2026, and nothing happened on March 2nd. What happened on March 2nd was bathroom monitoring at Stater Brothers, which they're keeping under surveillance, while I'm systematically publishing what they're doing as a pattern throughout the cities, targeting by the cities and the city libraries. And then you're coming up with what is an illogical, nonsensical means of excluding, and it's discriminatory on its face, and it's gang stalking its substance. That's literally what they try to do right now because they're stalking it, I'm documenting it, and it's psychological torture. There is no reason whereby you are engaging in the pattern of conduct and you want to talk about something that you think is going to be relevant, and it's not. That's a department, that's audible activity, it's malicious, it's the same criminal P.O.C, and it is psychological torture. That's the pattern of conduct, and it's a threat. She's got a gun on. You're still analyzing that same stalking conduct. The fake son is here while that department is stalking by helicopter while she wants to talk about false allegations like I'm putting pornographic content on YouTube. And that is not what is going on. This is an entity that is stalking and trying to bring up something that she has no business bringing up in the streets while you're stalking me. Don't forget while she's in my face, it is pursuant to stalking. This is P.O.C. It is 8:32 a.m. I'm at this street site at 11 o'clock in the morning, which would be 12 o'clock during daylight savings time. It does not change the analysis. Those are gang stalk, those are gang members, and the demons inside of the Stater Brothers parking lot are stalking me in the bathroom on behalf of that agency, which has no basis to talk about to me outside about what they didn't want to talk about when you gave me a letter pertaining to accusations that are malicious. They're the ones engaged in vagina monitoring, though they're all going to prison. They are all going to prison, including the one that was speaking. She's going to prison for the June 22nd, 2022 kidnapping. Excuse me, June 18, 2022 kidnapping. She's going to prison. This is C Street and Euclid, where the fake son remains, but not when I'm in Upland, California. Not when I'm in Upland. It's remaining over me at the Vaughn's grocery store at 81 West Foothill, where they're engaging in what is audible activity creation regarding what they think is going to divert attention away from the issue, and it's not. This is the P.O.C. in the same exact specific environment. You're talking about, whatever you're talking about is audible activity while you're monitoring with the people of the state who were in that parking lot gang stalking on video. That white SUV. This is P.O.C. Those are psychopaths. They're engaged in psychological torture. They're doing this in the middle of the afternoon yesterday on video. They're going to prison, they're being disbanded, and they think that it's a game when they're engaging in this, and the body of evidence is accumulating what is the basis for prosecution as terrorists, and it's already complete. They're going to prison. They practice that as a department. As a department, they practice that. This is P.O.C. You can't confuse or divert or deflect away from. Amazon Prime is stalking. The people of the state are stalking. The specific environment is proving that they're stalking. Now you're talking about the gang stalkers of the OVITT Family Community Library who engaged in an unlawful exclusion and then had the same threat call me on the phone while the City Hall did not refer to what it is was my documented complaint regarding what is not a basis for an appeal. You don't violate the law and then tell them that they have to go through what is an appeal to do so. They're engaged in what is obstruction of justice and furtherance of murder. And then you're gang stalking me and you want to talk about what are malicious assertions in the first place. This is the P.O.C. This is the ridiculousness of that. This is what the entity does with people who are unsophisticated victims of targeting. They're going to prison behind this. This is P.O.C. Sean Thrasher's going to federal prison. The fake son that is here, it is still reflecting through those doors after 4 p.m. He's going to prison while he's making malicious assertions, keeping my evidence under surveillance while you're surveilling my vagina, and I'm documenting that. And while I'm maintaining that documentation of a corrupt system, you do not have any probable cause or reasonable suspicion. You don't have a legitimate interest in my social media, which is not violating the law whatsoever, especially while you are the criminal. And while you want to talk about it outside in the streets under the fake sign, you're going to prison for that. That's called malice. While you're engaged in what is psychological torture. It's not based on the topic that you're discussing in that environment. It is the elements of monitoring. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, Brightview is stalking with the people that stayed inside of the parking garage. 9 Frank, Yolanda Frank, 221.
engaging in surveillance sitting at the Tesla car chargers. They're monitoring. 9 Jerry Zebra David 464. 9 Wendy Uncle Mary 479. 9 Thomas Xavier George 731. 9 George Mary George 086. They're under the fake sun Brightview. That wind leaf blower is audible activity while the fake sun remains over me, leaving from the venue where Hadel and the other 2 gang members of the Ontario Police are stalking as a department, and then referring to in the hopes that that's going to give some credibility regarding those erroneous, false, patently absurd, and nonsensical details that I dissected and litigated in my podcast and on this in video documentation, because they're going to prison for their unintelligent means of targeting me. And it doesn't add credibility when a gang stalking police officer wants to refer to that, and it also doesn't make it true. There's no pornographic content on my channel. All right, license HC315, that's a handicap. Impossible Light is in the parking garage. They're engaged in surveillance with the Ontario Police in relevant position. They're listening to the whole thing. They're all gang stalking together, and so is Sarah's Regis Group. All right, they're under the fake sun that's still here when they're driving out at night and they're molesting me with light. This is the daytime version. It's the same entity. When they're doing so at 6 o'clock in the evening and the fake sun is still here, that's on video. They're psychopaths pasting in engineer light. They're doing so with that same agency. They're stalking, and they're stalking as a apartment complex, Sarah's Regis Group, downtown Ontario luxury apartments. And so is Brightview. Brightview is stalking as a company, a third-party company. And they're doing so, as I documented, after 1 p.m. yesterday. It's the same demon, same company. As I leave Ontario Town Square, the fake sun is over me now at 8:39 a.m. The fake sun is over me at this same Ontario Town Square as I depart from it after 1 p.m. and Brightview is here gang stalking. Under the guise of engaging in landscaping where relevant positioning, light activity, and audible activity is equally underway. P.O.C. Brightview is engaged in violation of federal RICO laws. And they're doing so in furtherance of murder. With that agency that is under the deceptive notion that because you are, first of all, gang stalking and you want to speak to without me soliciting to or consenting to it, I don't consent to your stalking. The presence in the first place is unconstitutional. Understand that before she says a word. They're already in violation of the law. This is not ordinary conduct where they're engaged. They're law enforcement. They're stalking. The fake sun, before you say a word, they're already stalking. So then they had a third one pull up, and this is when they're engaging in, this is why. So I wanted to talk to you. So that's why you're engaging in surveillance, stalking in the path. Engaging in gang stalking, that's what the entity is doing. Pay attention to my documentation in 2018 and 2019. This is exactly why I started documenting the police, because they engage in that very conduct. This is what they're doing while they are keeping you under surveillance in the state. The police are everywhere that you're going. Regardless of whether they talk to you, if you're not a criminal, then they don't have any basis to talk to you. But they will always be where you're at. Engaging in criminal summoning, pulling someone else over, engaging in some other means of being in the environment, engaging in conducting traffic, maintaining some sort of means whereby they are engaging in facilitating the elements of monitoring, light activity, police lights. They're engaging in what is the guise of the execution of duties of officers, and they're not. They're engaging in surveillance. This is what Ontario police are doing. And the demon-possessed that are in this role, this is what they do with regard to stalking, and they engage in more of it. They're very psychopathic. The more that I document, understand what I'm actually doing, I'm discerning demons. The more that these demons are discerned, meaning the more that they are seen, they are hostile, and they engage in more and more obsessive, hovering, psychopathic stalking tactics, meaning I'm going to see them more and more and more. Every corner, every street that I cross, every turn that I make, that's going to be the entity. That's what the Ontario Police has been doing while I'm documenting them. And they're going to prison. What you just listened to, they're going to prison for that. The entity is just like the entity is gang stalking while I'm capturing their partner on B Street, gang stalking at the 9:44 a.m. fake sun, and as I walked by yesterday at 1:49 p.m. That's the entity, that agency is stalking. Now, you're not forgetful of that, but this agency seems to think if you want to talk about, something that's relevant, something that I care about, something that's going to give credibility to that incriminating letter that they wrote, that written admission regarding surveillance that they gave to me, pursuant to gang stalking. All right, the entity is engaging in what is admitting to surveillance regarding my YouTube channel.
Okay, because there's no discussion about it. I have little to very little subscribers, and it's something that would not even be on the radar but for you targeting, by the way. And the entity's engaging what is addressing my YouTube channel regarding something that happened before March 2nd, and nothing happened on March 2nd, which is my point. And March 3rd is when they are arriving pursuant to the gang stalker, heavily documented gang stalker, C. Gerber, under the fake sun at 10:04 a.m., which I juxtapose with you in Upland, California at 10:04 a.m. You are gang stalking while you hand me that admission to surveillance, which is in paper, and Sean Thrasher's going to prison behind it. He's not the only one, though. This is the entity that's engaging in that, though. While you are engaged in the pattern of conduct, the same pattern of conduct is underway while you are unlawfully excluding based on malicious assertions, and it is also speaking to what is an implied admission to surveillance on the internet, which you already know that agency is stalking by helicopter. They don't have any credibility. I'm pulling helicopter activity out of every corner. Every time I do something on my phone, the entity is flying in circles over me by helicopter. What is it that you think that she is saying other than the fact that she is gang stalking me, and you want to talk about what is going to be a subject matter that you have no right under any circumstances to address outside in the street? We're not litigating this on the street right now. And it's not distractions from what is the pattern of conduct. It is, in fact, the pattern of conduct, and I'm not distracted by it. That's exactly why I didn't let her even continue. Hold on, no, we're not talking about that. First of all, it's your criminal activity. You don't have any legitimate, that's the government. You don't have any interest. This is freedom of speech upon corruption by that government. You don't have any legitimate interest while it is serving to threaten and target me right now. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and we're doing this out on the street. Why are you here stalking? She's stalking. And that is not the explanation. Take a back up, because those two demons were there enthusiastically gang stalking and psychologically tormenting. And then you have the third one pull up and wants to talk about my YouTube channel, admitting to surveillance. Because nothing happened on March 2nd, so you want to then retract to what on February 25th, I'm engaging in what is absolutely lawful speech, which this government doesn't have any interest in. And it's irrelevant to what you are maliciously asserting. Nothing happened on March 2nd, 2022, and we're not going to skate over that. We're not skating over that because you're engaged in targeting, and you're engaged in a pattern of targeting, a pattern of it. And moreover, there is nothing unlawful or pornographic or obscene on my channel. There is no genitalia. There is no invasion of privacy. I'm not going in the stall. Nobody's seeing any anatomy. That would be, by the way, them coming out of the bathroom stall, which would be them violating the law. That would be obscene. Indecent exposure, which would be the people in the state violating the law, not me. Okay, this is the entity, I just want to be clear, they don't have any facts, and this is an entity that's caught engaging in what is obstruction of justice. You're stalking me, harassing, and engaging in psychological torture. That's their tactic. Everywhere that you turn, you're going to see that entity that's stalking you. Everywhere that you're going, you're going to see the police. You look up in the sky, and they're stalking you by helicopter and by planes, and I caught it on video again. And then you have this third, so I just want to make sure that that's abundantly clear, because that's literally what they just did right now. And talking about Sean Thrasher's going to prison, I don't hear anything else that you're saying. That's already been analyzed. You have nothing to say. You have nothing to say that's relevant to that. You are stalking. Everything that you are saying while you are stalking remains irrelevant with regard to that substantive issue. It is impossible, but they are, again, engaged in that pattern of conduct while they're operating in a whole alternate universe. She's going to prison. She committed kidnapping. Upon that same pattern, she knows all about the malicious assertions. You want to talk about my social media? I'm glad you're finally admitting that you're keeping me under surveillance on the internet, because that's inspiring ongoing terrorism as I publish damning evidence, as I beat you down with my documentation every day, and I'm ambushed by the Ontario Police Department upon entry and exit of that venue, where you are keeping me and my evidence under surveillance. Evidence that is entirely constitutional and fitting to prosecute you, and is engaging in no violation of the law, especially while you are the sex offender, having no right under the law when you're analyzing it's the Ontario Police in that bathroom with no warrant or probable cause, while the entity is doing the same thing at the Stater Brothers bathroom, and then you're following me around like cockroaches while I'm outside showing you the fake sun. That agency is stalking, and you want to talk about Sean Thrasher, who's going to prison behind that behind that written admission regarding targeting me. And you can't even come up with a reason why, because it's not a reason. Nothing happened on March 2nd in the bathroom. I didn't even document somebody stalking me in the bathroom on that day. And by the way, even if I did, this is an entity that's necessarily admitting, because when you're in the bathroom stall and nothing is stated, And you're talking about capturing what is the presence in the private space, which with regard to what is no violation of any privacy, the entity is engaging in what is using their devices, which I've captured as well. You're in the same environment in use of your device, which is monitoring, and you're hostile demons because I'm not supposed to know that, but I do know that, and I'm prosecuting you for it because you're engaging in surveillance in that bathroom on behalf of these baboons who are stalking me under the fake sun and are being prosecuted with regard to their own tactics. And the federal tactic for that is prison. That's the response. You want to talk about everything that she's talking about is they're the same entity. That's the entity admitting to surveillance of me on the internet. That's how that's using, and which you already know in writing. They are admitting in that letter, which is a discriminatory means of exclusion. It's unlawful, and it's also unlawful based upon federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, I just want to be clear on that. It is currently 8:48 a.m. This is the entity engaged in that pattern of conduct while I am publishing the completion of the podcast. What's on that podcast last night? With the same agency that wants to talk about, oh, your social media and your capture. What about my social media? What about it? What about it? That's the entity that was stalking. Train it, dissect it. I'm teaching you how to pay attention to Satan. All manner of the P.O.C, Amazon Prime, Union Pacific, the fake sun, the audio documentation and the video documentation, which shows they're at that same venue at 6 in the evening stalking me, while you then want to talk about the reasons why Sean Thrasher is going to prison. Because at the end of the day, under all circumstances, he's going to prison, and so is she, and so are her two flying monkeys in those uniforms. All of them are going to prison. Just like Jay Hernandez, I just want to be clear. Superior Grocer on 815 West Hall Boulevard. Understand, I'm walking through the neighborhood from Ontario Village Shopping Center. The fake sun is not going anywhere. They're all going to prison. They're all surrounded. All of them are surrounded. The fake sun is remaining over me. It's not going anywhere. There's no way that the sun would ever be in any sky space where you would have any sunlight whatsoever while you're in Florida. But that's not the case because these demons are engaging in a satanic pattern of conduct. They are targeting in that environment. It proves it to a scientific degree. And they're also targeting while they engage in a pattern of making allegations that make no logical sense. They make no legal sense whatsoever. They're unprecedented, and it's also coexisting with their ongoing outward demeanor. It's supposed to be your imagination. You're not being targeted. You're paranoid. You're hallucinating. All right? It's not really happening, but you're looking at them stalking, acting like nothing's happening with the helicopter activity, acting like nothing's happening with the impossible lie activity, acting like nothing's happening when they have just mysterious allegations come out of nowhere where nothing happened and nothing precipitated from it. A mysterious child was molested. A mysterious person was harassed. Okay, a mysterious person was violated by me in the bathroom. And based on that, you discovered my social media and that I'm putting pornographic content, because what else are you talking about? Because there is nothing that is obscene or illegal or violating the privacy of the entity, which the government doesn't have any privacy, but I'm not called to do that. I'm not putting sexual content, putting people's anatomy on the internet. That's outside of the bounds of the purpose of this public investigation exposing public corruption of the government that's targeting and furtherance of murder. It's absurd. This entity is engaged in this conduct, and this is the entity that does not have any basis. That's also the evidence of them targeting. In fact, that is the weightiest means of identifying outside of the specific environment. This is supernatural. They're demons. So they think they can do hoodoo voodoo, hocus pocus. I'm not looking at you, I'm not talking to you, I'm not touching you. And you're imagining that I'm targeting you. And then like that, you're dead or you're kidnapped, or you're defamed successfully. And everything that you say is discarded. You're silenced by that system. This is absurdity. And they literally in that video had all manner, stalking by train, stalking by plane. All they needed to do was pull out the helicopter. But that's the same agency, so they're accomplishing what is the entity stalking under the fake sun. And they're stalking in the podcast that I'm completing. All right, I just want to be clear on that. This is the entity, they're going to federal prison. They, meaning they're co-defendant of the OVITT Family Community Library, that have been engaged in an ongoing campaign to defame my character, to help demons like Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and Eric Spencer, who thought that they were going to steal Tracy Banks thought that she was going to steal my identity. You're 60 plus years old. Your skin drags on the sidewalk. You are never going to be me, and you weren't me when you were my age. We are nothing alike. Nothing alike in any area. You could never be me. There is no witchcraft, no sex ritual, no position that there's no weave, no lashes that you can paste on.
Okay, there's no breast implants that are going to help you. You don't compare. It will never happen. You're delusional, and you're going to prison behind your delusions. And these demons are out here gang stalking with regard to what is a long lost endeavor. And now they're engaging in that which they decided to not stop doing when they were given signs a long time ago that this isn't going to end like every other time. They're going to prison. Pay attention to that video evidence, because Sean Thrasher's going to prison behind that. While I'm at Upland Public Library, Sean Thrasher's going to federal prison behind that. While I'm at the Ontario City Hall and this entity is stalking by plane, by helicopter, under the fake sun, Sean Thrasher's going to federal prison behind that. And then in addition to that, the icing on that cake is that ongoing implied admission by a whole bunch of unintelligent vagina monitors that don't know what it is that they're giving to me as a federal prosecutor, and I'm using everything that you state to prosecute you because you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know who you are contending with. That's an ongoing admission regarding surveillance. They admitted to it. There are no facts whereby anything about it should be coming to your attention. Nothing. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they conduct themselves as though I am the center of what that department is focused on. But I'm not that criminal, and I'm not that person. I'm also not disruptive. The entities that's targeting me, and they would like it to be based on the fact that I'm causing trouble everywhere, and that's not even the case either. The entity has no basis to engage in calling my name out. I don't know them. Remember, they're doing it under the fake sun. And then the third officer that drives up is speaking about my social media. Why are you talking about my social media that has less than 200 subscribers? Okay, that you're talking about 20 views, if that, for a video. And one of those 1 to 5 views is you? Oh, you're the one that's engaging in what? You're the one that's engaging in what is putting a thumbs down on my video? You're talking about what was documented in February of 2026. In February 2026, gang stalking is underway, which is criminal activity. And with regard to what's on social media is speaking to what an entity is necessarily targeting. They would like to jump it. This is how the law works, though. Fruit of the poisonous tree applies here. While you would like to, even though you don't under the facts, but let me break down a principle for you. Before you want to get to the fact that I'm violating and putting something obscene on the internet, because that's what it would need to be. It's not even obscene, but I'm not even going to get to that point. You have to get to the fact of you're engaging in what is targeting unlawful surveillance while you are in custody of that information. How did you get that? How are you even aware of it? What is it that brought it to your attention? Is it having to do with anything that you're doing now, which is stalking, surveillance? Before you even get to that? Because you don't get to, in a court of law and how this criminal justice system works, with regard to law enforcement and actual investigations and not stalking and surveillance, when you're talking about information that you would like to use, which you are necessarily engineering. Like I said, because there's nothing obscene on my podcast. But the entity is engaging in what is admitting under all circumstances that you are indeed engaging in surveillance. And that's also what you're doing when you're flying in circles over my head at that venue of the OVITT Family Community Library. That's also what you're doing when that fake sun is aimed on my face at 4:30 p.m. inside of that OVITT Family Community Library. When I'm across the street from that OVITT Family Community Library and you want to talk to me about a written document that is evidence against you, that entire department, and Sean Thrasher, that OVITT Family Community Library. Because you're unintelligent and you don't know what you're doing, and you should have sat down a long time ago. This is P.O.C. This is the federal prosecution of a department that is being targeted because they sought to target me first. And now they're being targeted with actual facts. They're being taught how to conduct an actual investigation. They're actually getting a glimpse of what law enforcement looks like. And it doesn't include stalking. This is P.O.C. They're mentally ill. That's why they're so unfit. That's why they're so incompetent. They're corrupt. They just murder people to silence them. And you never hear about the wrongdoings that they've committed. That's why they're so idiotic. That's why it's so asinine. That's why it's so obvious. That's why I'm able to make such a big deal about the stupidity that I'm being confronted with. Because they are not engaged in fact gathering. They're not engaged in what is investigating. They're not engaged in law enforcement. They're stalkers. And they're unintelligent ones. You don't have to have a college degree to be in law enforcement. Any sociopath getting past the academy. And that's going to change. That's going to change because this isn't even law enforcement in California. We're all under surveillance. And so this is necessarily changing the landscape, what everybody is aware of. And there are some key things that are going to change since this is known. They're monitoring spirits.
They're monitoring you. And while that's the case, this is not a mystery. So you know what she's engaged in, what that agency is engaging in, and then you're looking at analyzing what it is that they're trying to exhibit, what they want the perception to be versus what they're actually doing, what their intentions are versus what they're actually exhibiting. That's malice that's intending to commit murder and kidnapping. And you're going to be diagnosed, you're being diagnosed through this evidence. You're stalking me. You're going to look at that ongoing conduct under the fake sun, what you're talking about, and you're going to see that agency. You're going to look next to that. Let's play a video of them stalking just last night, flying in circles over me by a department using the helicopter. And the night before that, stalking me, flying in circles over me, following me through the neighborhood by helicopter. And then we're going to revisit what was it that they were talking about? Who was it that was stating my name that I don't know? Well, you're talking like as though there's some sort of you're not investigating nothing. You're stalking. You're stalking. You are stalking, and the entities engaged in that pattern of conduct, which is an unlawful threat. You're going to prison for threatening me in that manner. You're going to prison for criminal stalking in the first place. And you're going to prison while you are facilitating that with corrupt venues like the OVITT Family Community Library, who are engaging in surveillance and surveillance of my vagina and surveillance of my free speech on the internet because of what that department is engaging in. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. There is nothing. They could not use what is crayons and color in a coloring book, and it will never have any credibility. That's how done the Ontario Police Department is. That's how done they are. They have zero credibility. Those are stalkers that engaged in a desperate attempt right now, and that's a threat while they were surrounding me. Again, guns on their waists, fake sun over my head, surveillance stalking me like I'm documenting, and then they're doing it and I captured it on video. While they engage in this campaign of stalking me day and night in helicopters, they're all going to prison. Those are gang members, and they're unintelligent ones. And even when, I just want to be clear, because even if you go to college, you're a vagina monitoring demon, you are inferior inherently. That's why you're stalking under things like a fake sun. Your college degree will not make you a contender. It will not. Just want to make sure that that's clear. But to be in law enforcement, they don't even need a college degree. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:59 a.m. That is Brightview. I'm going to read you their license plate. They're monitoring my device as I begin operating Wi-Fi, Ontario Wi-Fi. That's simultaneity of conduct. As I operate and open up an app on the Ontario Wi-Fi at the same time, Brightview that's already stalking in the path, listening to my whole commentary that I just recorded right now at 9 o'clock, it's currently 9:01 a.m. with simultaneity to that operation of my phone, my device. Those are monitoring spirits. That's monitoring spirit that's working for a third-party company, engaging in surveillance with the agency that is engaged in one of its ongoing admissions against the people of the state, OVITT Family Community Library. But nonetheless, Brightview is gang stalking, and that license plate is documented on the Google Drive, rather. Doing so at birth in the morning and also in the afternoon as I'm departing from the Ontario Town Square. That license plate is parked along this same Euclid Avenue where this fake sun is remaining. And that's also giving you context about what Amazon Prime Air is doing, what the Union Pacific train audible activity, what that purpose is serving, and also what that department is doing in that parking lot, in my face, communicating a threat, doing so while then they want to talk even what they're talking about, which is absurd and inappropriate and unorthodox. It is unlawful, and it's inherently threatening while they're engaged in that context regarding that fake sun and Brightview gang stalk with that department. Okay, this is P.O.C. By the way, when I'm at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, the entities engaging in this west of this location. I'm at 224 North Euclid Avenue. What are they doing over the parking lot? They're stalking. This is the agency that's engaging in that conduct. They are already surrounded. Everything that they're saying, these are demons that are already prosecuted. You're going to prosecute. This is what they do to American citizens who are not sophisticated with regard to being targeted, with regard to being subject to this pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police Department are a foregone conclusion, their prosecution. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:02 a.m.
Brightview's license plate is 49467 David 4. Brightview Landscape Services is the name of the third-party business, and the complete name of the business is Brightview Landscape Services. They are engaging in the criminal and malicious misuse of a business license for landscaping under California license number 0081688, I believe. Or rather 0081686. Alrighty, it is currently 10:30 a.m. It's Thursday, March 12th, 2026. And when you're understanding the pattern of conduct, you're looking at what is crossing a path in the engineered environment while in operation of communication devices surrounding on both sides, the entity doing so systematically as a society regarding what is knowledge that you already know is shared by that population, not coincidentally nor ignorantly engaging in that pattern of conduct. Presence is the means of surveillance. And that's how you're understanding the actual purpose of every business, every location, including where that population resides, including where that population maintains any means of business. It's all presence. And it's criminal presence as I'm showing you that supernatural environment. Pay attention to what you're looking at. This is sunlight that's appearing underneath a covered structure. This is impossible light activity, and it's there for the significance of presence in that environment where monitoring is underway. Okay, the entity operates these devices, which are demonic, but also, and it's a demonic system. This is a demonic environment, and it's also relevant because it's a government venue, meaning even Starbucks is a government venue. By government venue, I mean it's a state facilitating venue. The government is literally maintaining the establishment itself. It's identifying itself as a means of the public entity. The government, such as the San Bernardino Transitional Assistance Department, that's gang stalking. And this is in what is Los Angeles, California. Okay, the ongoing impossibility that the sun would be over me at the same time at 10:30 a.m. and over me in Ontario, California, where the entity is keeping the fake sun rising and setting while I am remaining being targeted by the city of Ontario. The entity that's maintaining this level of surveillance is one that is exposing what is the pattern of conduct while the Ontario Police Department are stalking me by helicopter at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center. They're flying in circles over me while they are indeed engaged in surveillance, and they do so with the people of the state who don't communicate with you, they don't talk to you, they don't look at you while they are stalking you. They're monitoring you. It is stalking under the law. The entity is maintaining presence in an environment, and it is unlawful. It is pursuant to the absence of any warrant or probable cause for the U.S. government to maintain surveillance and the identity of this environment, which is impossible. The shadow of the trees are appearing flat on the ground, extending underneath a covered structure. This is absolutely impossible. And you're in operation in the presence of the targeted individual. You are doing so while they're maintaining surveillance, and they're also demons, is what you need to know. And this is the entity that does so, pulling out helicopters and planes while they keep you under surveillance. They do so while they are feigning being your loving family member, friends, while they're keeping you under surveillance and engaging what is targeting in the system of surveillance. This is Los Angeles County. That's what's so significant, and this is not different from what LAPD has already documented engaging in. This fake sun is following me as I'm walking back in the opposite direction. The entity is simultaneously keeping the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library entrance, over the Stater Brothers parking lot while I'm in front of Kings Inc., where the Ontario police are flying in circles, engaging in what is another documented iteration of psychopathic pacing, targeting me while they are keeping my evidence of them stalking me under surveillance. And then you're going to recall what Hadel and those gang members under the fake sun this morning are talking about regarding the prosecution of the admitted stalkers, the OVITT Family Community Library. This is LA County. Karen Bates and the state of California are engaging in the pattern of conduct in Los Angeles County. All right, this is criminal surveillance that I have not consented to. I also didn't consent to LA County keeping me under surveillance in my apartment at Alvarado Gardens, using speaker companies as third party to keep me under surveillance. That's what the evidence shows. The entity is keeping the fake sun, as you'll see, remaining over me as I'm walking in LA. Okay, I just want to document here, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office engaging in criminal summoning along the freeway, gang stalking me, the fake sun remaining over me, en route to the city of Norwalk, where LA County is in gang stalking. All right, they're doing so in furtherance of murder. It is a statewide. The entities engaged in this while they are keeping me under surveillance, know exactly who I am, proven through that environment, and also through the pattern of conduct by LA County engaging in criminal summoning on the roads and the highways, doing so while they are stalking. That is ongoing terrorism. It is gang violence, and it's shared by the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. This is impossible light, not only because of its position, but because of the maintenance of the so-called sun in Ontario. If that's the sun at Stater Brothers over Kings Inc. or at OVITT Family Community Library, at 215 East C Street in Ontario, which you know that it's not, but this is how you're analyzing, then it could not be here. And this, under no circumstances, would be here. You only have one sun, and the entity is keeping it, remember, at Euclid Avenue and C Street, where it's setting at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, this is the P.O.C. The Department of Social Services is engaged in criminal surveillance. They're maintaining an illusion regarding privacy. They're monitoring. And this is the evidence of it. This is P.O.C. Department of Public Services is engaging in the pattern of conduct
coming to get my birth certificate regarding this entity that has kept the circumstances of my parents, my identity is relevant to the entity that's engaging in surveillance at the same time, simultaneously conspiring my murder. And LAPD, under the corrupt leadership of Michael Moore and Dominic Choi, are fully engaging in this documented pattern of conduct. They are engaging in that P.O.C. ceaselessly. It doesn't stop because I moved out of LA County. Remember, the entity is one. There's a superficial, with a superficial distinction with regard to LA County gang stalking me and San Bernardino County gang stalking me. And I'm going to prosecute for what LAPD engaged in directly while I lived in this region where they are indeed gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:35 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. This is indeed the pattern of conduct. This is impossible light. For the purposes, you're understanding the significance of light. This is what the gargoyles are flinging on my person. They're going to be prosecuted as sex offenders while they touch you, and they're stalking you. This is the entity that's maintaining ongoing criminal surveillance. This is impossible light. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, everybody in the building, the government building, this is all pacing and their demons. This is demonic. This is criminal. This is P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct. All right, it is currently 2:10 p.m. This is documentation regarding the ongoing pattern of conduct that the Ontario Police Department are engaging in, as I am subject to stalking by that agency that's engaging in following me from place to place, and the purpose behind following, particularly as a police department that's also maintaining surveillance and contact with the people of the state. The entity is specifically engaging in what is crossing my path, stalking as an agency, which is proven through the unnatural environment that is remaining around me. They're doing so with the intent to harass, psychologically torture, threaten, etc. And that's exactly what's underway in Ontario, California, when I am at this time at 2:09 p.m. yesterday, coming from the Ontario Town Square where the entity kept the fake sign stationary over me, and then proceeded to keep that fake sign over me as I am walking on Holt Boulevard to the 815 West Holt Boulevard Superior Grocer. And at the intersection of San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, the entity has a fake sign over me at 2:09 p.m. where the Ontario police are stalking on the roads and the highways, 2 vehicles in particular, and the entities engaging in what I documented this morning, a method of what is ongoing harassment and psychological torture, where the police in California, this is relevant to the demonic pattern. They are demons that are engaging what is psychopathic pacing. They are stalking in the specific environment. They're doing so also pursuant to myself as the first who is engaged in successfully documenting and prosecuting and proving not only stalking criminal activity, but also surveillance of a systematic nature in the state, but also the intent to psychologically harm you, while they are now monitoring not just me, but they are monitoring the evidence of them stalking. So that's a whole other layer regarding the criminal activity, regarding the criminal intent and the harms inflicted. The entity has the fake sign over the Upland Public Library right now. I am in the city of Upland, and the entity has a fake sign through the ceiling in the same manner as I'm entering at 10 o'clock in the morning as well. To be specific, it's through these windows along the D Street location. This is speaking to the maintenance of an environment conducive for surveillance, which is underway while I am subject to psychological torture as a matter of video evidence, while the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking. And that's exactly what I documented this morning, when the 3 officers are then referring to what is evidence that they have no legitimate interest in and engaging in totally unorthodox and unconstitutional and highly threatening conduct, referring to a letter that was given to me by GERKEN. And it is something ordinarily, traditionally, which is not going to be something that's a matter of what is some sort of, under the circumstances, it seems as though it's something the whole department's having a meeting over the letter given to me by the OVITT Family Community Library. The entity that is engaging in what is gang stalking is the one that's engaging in surveillance. And they're engaging in surveillance, like you see on video this morning, in the afternoon. I'm in the city of Upland at 450 North Euclid Avenue. And the entity is keeping this fake sun. And it's moving as I move inside of the building, but the engineered light does not move. It does move on an incremental basis, just pacing around in the building, but the entity is maintaining an idle fake sun. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently, like I stated, 2:14 p.m. where the entity is stalking in Ontario at Holt Boulevard in
and San Antonio Avenue, and doing so while they are specifically stalking, which is getting to the stalking conduct that I'm documenting Hernandez engaging in. And Hernandez is going to federal prison, P.O.C.
All right, I'm going to document the entity that is stalking me as I walk into the grocery store. I've captured this on video already, the ambush conduct. And this is while David Quinones is also monitoring my vagina, ambushing my vagina, and everything concerning my vagina in the bathroom where the demons are on surveillance cameras gang stalking. They're on the work schedule gang stalking. They're on the surveillance cameras used to monitor with the government criminally. I'm going to use that because they're engaged in federal stalking. I'm going to use all the footage. It's all my evidence, contrary to what these demons are practicing and what they think. License 23103, Uncle 1, surveillance with the Ontario International Airport. And it's 6:18 a.m. And as I walk toward the entrance, a hefty male, appears to be Latino, wearing a Teamster black jacket, and I refer to the camera. He's threatening me. He's stalking me with the airport as I walk in. In the same way, I document this as I walk out, and the entity is engaging what is stalking directly in the path of the door. The fake sun is over me. The people of the state are stalking, molesting with impossible light. This is all manner of terrorism, which I'm also going to prosecute under federal RICO, Stater Brothers. License 8, Mary, Indiana, Apple 863. Want you to listen to the plane activity? They're in a grocery store stalking. That's psychotic. This is evidence that's going to be used to diagnose, have committed criminal stalkers. 7 Henry, Xavier Nancy, 535. 7 Larry, Charlie Kelly, 299. Charlie Larry Apple, 4 Xavier Nancy. That's an Arizona plate. And as I document systematic gang stalking, it is a basis of federal prison. That is if you're already not going to prison. And the entity is going to be prosecuted under laws that are going to uniformly apply. 9 Sam Apple Robert 935, like Salvador, he's going to prison. License plate 9 Kelly Thomas Yolanda 741, 8 Xavier Queen George 084. Stalking in the back of the parking lot 76450 Zebra 3, and this is a third-party gang stalking company. CTS, I documented them gang stalking me at the coin laundry. Okay, I took a picture of the hefty white male. He's engaging in surveillance by centering his attention visibly on laundry. He's doing so under that fake sun that you see over that laundromat yesterday during the 8 a.m. hour, while Southwest Airlines is on video during the 7 a.m. hour stalking over that side of the village. That side of the village where the Ontario police are gang stalking at San Antonio and HOLT yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the entity that's stalking. CTS, third party. License plate. Listen to that plane activity. CTS is indeed stalking. That's 76450 Zebra 3. Stater Brothers is indeed stalking. Griffith Company is in the parking lot, indeed stalking. 6 Charlie, Uncle George 756. And you know who's going to prison? The one that you saw on video yesterday, engaging in what is using a traffic stop as a means of stalking. The same ingredients: light activity, relevant positioning. You got to do the traffic stop relevant to where I'm located, and you're doing it while you're monitoring, where the entity is engaging in aerial surveillance under things like a fake sun that sits on the same block. Where Griffith Company, a gang stalking company, a violent sex offender, using Griffith Company vehicles to keep my vagina under surveillance, waiting until I go into the bathroom, waiting until my legs are spread apart, waiting until I'm disrobed, waiting until my panties are down, waiting until I'm in position bent over to engage in what is amplified audible activity while a sex offender sits in the dark in operation of a device, being a sex offender with the U.S. government, doing so in the name of Griffith Company, California license 88. Griffith Company is a very heavily documented terrorist. They like to, in other words, engage in more gang stalking, as I document, in conformity to the psychopaths who are demon-possessed. License plate 53672 Edward 4. Light activity while you hear Union Pacific. The demons are in sync. Over here parked in the corner of the parking lot, doing so under a fake moon, just like at Superior Grocer under the fake sun, making sure they maintain all 4 corners of the parking lot where the entity's engaging in that. And they're here to keep vagina under surveillance. That's why they're here. I'm going to prosecute companies as sex offenders that they are. Griffith Company conspiring murder, monitoring my vagina in doing so as an ongoing perpetual sex offender, conspiring my murder with the government, and gang stalking while having the audacity to make money. I hope you're ready, because I'm going to shut that company down. You will not be using any licensure because you're losing it based upon gang stalking. Pacing, mentally ill behavior, psychopath, license plate, 51183 Barry 3. You listen to how loud it's getting because these demons are monitoring. And they're listening to themselves being documented. That's why the entity is stalking where I'm located by plane, stalking where I'm located under a fake moon, stalking where I'm located with amplified audible activity, mentally deranged behavior. While you're selling donuts at Miss Donuts, while you're operating a laundry mat at Coin Laundry, while you're operating a grocery store, Stater Brothers, while you're on the roads and the highways, Holt Boulevard, San Antonio, while you're gang stalking to the train station, Union Pacific, while you're stalking in this parking lot. They're monitoring all together, and they all center their attention around my blessed vagina. P.O.C. License 36325 George 2. Sex offenders, a whole bunch of sex offenders that are murderers. They're demons. 51183 Barry 3. Gang stalking with everything that you just heard at the Stater Brothers to engage in surveillance of vagina. And they come and buy a donut. They come and stalk in the grocery store, and then they go with the rest of their day, and they think that that makes them not look like they're stalkers, that they're not vagina monitors. It is literally the receipts I'm going to use to drag them in court as the sex offenders that they are. License 5W Charlie Apple 637. David Quinones is being prosecuted. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted. This is how bright they are. Sitting around like a psychopath, aiming light on the wall where my vagina is disrobed on the opposite side of it, stalking, another sex offender, another homosexual predator. License plate, 7 Zebra Nancy Roberts 628, and they're vagina monitoring with David Quinones. P.O.C. Pacing in the parking lot in Engineer Light under a fake moon where the fake sun rises and sets, where the fake sun is still here after 5 p.m. yesterday. Stalking with light is a mentally ill behavior. And the airport is being shut down for this unprecedented means of public corruption, surveillance of vagina. Homosexuals that are gang stalking, like this third party in this vehicle, a psychopath. Aiming light in the area where the bathroom is anticipated to be in use, where a population engages in what is surveillance of genitalia on a daily, ceaseless basis. P.O.C. You will be prosecuted for using your brake lights. It's literally that simple. You're catching federal cases. 9 Bob David Charlie 541. 8 Mary Indiana Apple 863 surveillance at the front of the store. This is an employee, a vagina monitor. 8 Frank Sam Frank 074. This is P.O.C. And this is while the entity is watching me document. I'm going to publish the completion of the podcast for yesterday. March 11, 2026, where a bunch of vagina monitors are prosecuted already, and I'm documenting the fact that Hernandez is going to prison in conformity to a pattern of conduct and establishing what is a precedent to disband gang members like the Ontario Police Department, because this is what's happening regarding the Los Angeles Police Department, keeping me under surveillance in my apartment and at work, creating what is this ongoing harm while I'm subject now homeless, being gang stalked, and they did this in order to commit murder, but this is the plot twist. You're going to prison. And you're losing everything. This is P.O.C. It's 6:25 a.m.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, it's 9 o'clock. You have to head out.
Excuse me?
You have to head out. You have to leave.
Leave where?
Anywhere. I don't care. You have to leave.
Why?
Because I said so. Because you're trespassing.
Because you said so?
Yeah. You gotta leave. Get the hell out of here. Leave. I'm gonna call the police if
You're
you don't leave.
Securitas. This is sexual assault and battery. And
I
go
don't
ahead.
care.
This
You have
is
to
the
leave.
Civic
You
Center.
have to.
This is the Civic Center. This is what you came and told me at
gotta
8:30,
leave.
right?
You gotta leave.
He came back at
If you don't
8:30.
leave, I'm gonna call police, and the police will
You said it. That's the
check
4th time he's in
it.
injury
You
life.
have to leave.
This is the Civic Center. And this is the library on the
It's
side.
9 o'clock. They're closed.
I'm-
Everything's closed.
No,
Everybody
it's
else
not.
left. There's
The
nobody
bench.
here.
You can sit
You
on
have
the.
to leave.
Anyway, this is POC. Go ahead,
You have
finish.
to leave. Just leave. Just leave.
It's not. Where's the sign that says it's closed?
Just leave.
Where's the sign that says it's closed?
It doesn't matter. It's public.
No,
area.
it does
You can't be
matter.
here after
It
close.
is public.
After
You're
it's
right.
closed, you can't be here.
I'm not indoors.
You can't be here. You have to leave.
That's
Go.
not true.
Go. You have to leave.
That's
Go.
not true. You're
If you don't-
harassing.
I'm gonna have to call police if you don't
Listen,
leave.
you're
Go.
already in
You
violation.
have to
Keep
leave.
talking.
You have to leave.
No, you don't run anything.
Look at. There's a park. There's.
And he
you can
comes
go
up with
anywhere.
Ontario International Airport. He's going to prison. Go
You
ahead.
have to leave.
He's monitoring. This is in the engineer light, and this is the same police department that was stalking this morning.
You're not listening. I already told you many times.
There's no signage that says it's closed. He's lying. This is all audible activity, relative positioning, and he's engaged in sexual assault and battery. And he pulls up while the airport is stalking right here. It's currently, by the way, 9:14 p.m. This is the Ontario Civic Center where he's engaged in what is trying to expel me from the area that is open. This is P.O.C. This is Title 18 federal stalking, and he said he's doing so because he said so. That's why, on his authority, there's no signage stating that you cannot be here after the library closes. I'm not in the library, and this is harassment. It doesn't matter. It's not because I'm homeless this time?
You have to leave.
Because I'm homeless?
Trespassing.
No, it's not. No, that's not a trespass
You
either.
understand that?
That's
So
not
if
a
you don't
trespass.
leave, I will have to call the police.
Okay,
If
go
you-
ahead. You already called the police. The police are monitoring with you right now. Go ahead, keep talking.
I'm gonna just call the police.
Keep talking.
You're a grown-ass woman. You have to leave.
I'm a what? This is Securitas that's going to be prosecuted also. He's an engineer light. This is P.O.C.
I'm giving you a chance to leave.
This
If you don't
is
leave, I will
audible
call
activity. His
police.
shadows behind him, to the side, and in front, and also on the wall. This is criminal monitoring, and that's gang stalking with the Ontario Police.
You have
And
to
this is
leave.
criminal summoning.
You have to leave. Look, this is your last warning. You have
That's
to
audible
leave.
activity. He's
Look,
monitoring.
it's-
Everything he's
it's
stating is audible
9:15.
activity.
I'm gonna give
The
you
Ontario
till
Civic
9:20
Center, he's lying.
to
The
leave
Ontario Civic Center is
willingly.
not closed, and there's no closure there's no area that says it's
If you
closed
don't
over here.
leave
The benches are
willingly,
open.
I will
You can
call
sit
the
on the
police,
benches. You
alright?
can sit outside. They walk their
Everybody else
dogs. They
that-
skate. They ride their
the
bikes.
only
They sit
person
over here and they use the Wi-Fi. He's harassing, and he's harassing every time that he's working. You can see that he's over talking. He's aggressive. He's standing over me in the engineer light. This is a threat to my safety and my life, and he's monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. He is going to prison, and this is the entity that's engaging in this on behalf of the state. This is P.O.C., and this is all a lie. This is all a lie.
Alright?
This is all a lie. The Ontario Police are being disbanded for this,
Alright?
and he's going to prison.
If you're still here by 9:20.
This is the pattern of conduct.
police is
There's
gonna
no
come and
timing
take
that says I have to leave. He's
I will
lying.
give you
This
your
is
last
targeting.
warning. This is
He's
it.
going to prison because this is harassment upon gang stalking. There's no signage stating that you have to leave. This is the entity. This is page. I'm not inside a page one cafe. Entity. That's all engineer light. He is going to prison. That's Leo. That's the pattern of conduct. Ontario police are monitoring through that. And he's engaged in also targeting, stating because I'm homeless, that's why I can't be here. And now he's stating at 9:20 I have to leave. There is no signage that says that you're not allowed to sit on the benches, that you can't, they walk their dogs. They're all out here monitoring as well, by the way. And he's doing so while he is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. And that was all impossible light activity. He is going to prison. He's engaging in targeting me on an ongoing basis. Already he's doing so now with regard to what is telling me to leave that area, which I am free to stay. This area is not closed. Okay, just want to be clear. There's no signage over here. This is the Civic Center, and they have the area where you also still have the Wi-Fi that you can use. I just want to be clear where I'm at. And there's also the town square over there. This is, you already know where, this is the documentation of where I'm at. He's gang stalking under the guise of harassing and telling me that I have to leave. When you do not have to leave, I routinely leave the library and sit over here and use the Wi-Fi. And the entity's engaging in what is gang stalking me through Securitas. And now he's saying, I'm going to give you till 9:20. There is no signage that says that the Civic Center is closing and that you can't sit over here and use the Wi-Fi or whatever it is you do. Sit outside and have a smoke or whatever it is you do. This is the entity that's gang stalking. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:18 p.m. This is, again, another iteration of the same P.O.C., and he does so with the Ontario International Airport. This is the entity that's gang stalking with Hernandez, demons that are hostile, vicariously acting through third parties. He wants to engage in what is harassment. This is how an entity does that, speaking and harassing as one. Whoever is engaging in that pattern of conduct, the entity is doing so right. Hold on, I'll tell you that. There's no takeoffs over the City Hall. That's the Ontario International Airport, gang stalking, P.O.C. Securitas is engaging in the pattern of conduct and exercising no authority. They're engaged in what is threatening my life, gang stalking with the city. And they're doing so while you are also making up rules targeting. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging the P.O.C. The Ontario Civic Center is not closed, meaning you can't stand over here. You can't stand outside. You can't use the Wi-Fi that still remains available. You can't have a smoke. You can't come outside of your apartment building and sit on the benches. This is a demon that's targeting me with that airport that has no terminals, no takeoff. That's the pattern of conduct. Leo is going to federal prison. He's engaged in systematic monitoring. And this is an entity, he's very, very pathetic. This is how the entities engage in what is harassment. And this is another way that the same gang stalking police department are threatening you. They're speaking as an entity. But you saw them stalking me as I'm walking through the neighborhood, doing so by helicopter and also doing so by stalking in the path and then having a meeting in the middle of a parking lot while you're stalking me. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 9:19 p.m. All right, Leo is engaged in the second documented act of terrorism. It is an act of terrorism when the entity commits what is criminal summoning, which is committed through the people of the state. You commit criminal summoning in multiple ways. The entity can self-initiate while they're sounding their sirens, engage in criminal monitoring. That's the entity summoning itself. When the entity is engaging in what is calling the police, that's all an illusion. The entity is monitoring on behalf of the police. This is how the entity is maintaining surveillance through the people of the state. When they are quote unquote calling the police, it's an act of criminal summoning and it's an act of terrorism. They are sending those that commit kidnappings and murder while they're already keeping you under surveillance, stalking you in doing so. And then they are doing so under this illusion to be physically in your presence and conspicuously stalk you while exercising authority under the law that they don't have, while their surveillance system is underway, and while maliciously speaking to you in a manner as though they are not already keeping you under surveillance. That's psychopathic, what the entity is actually doing versus how they present regarding this system. Leo is engaging in what is in this video you hear while I'm at the Ontario Civic Center area, and where I am, not only am I routinely here publishing a lot of evidence after the library would close and I would stand outside, and so are the people of the state that are monitoring, pacing in concert with the airport and with the police department, stalking me by helicopter at this same side of this library, and doing so after 9 p.m. There is no signage stating to, like I said in the video, there's no signage speaking to the fact that you're here illegally outside of the curfew. There's no curfew regarding using the Wi-Fi, regarding coming outside to sit on a bench, regarding coming outside and having a smoke. You're getting into what is trying to proscribe speech is literally what that is. And this uneducated idiot that's just gang stalking is definitely outside and acting above his pay grade while he's engaged in what is targeting under all circumstances. He's working at a on the grounds of the government, and so that's why it's relevant what he's stating, and he's doing so while he's also gang stalking. So this is terrorism, including while he threatens to call what are the terrorists themselves, and this is all regarding what is gang stalking by those same gang members. The Ontario Police Department, they're already monitoring, they're stalking via him, and he is using what is targeting me at an area where I am free to remain and use the Wi-Fi or sit outside in silence. I could read a book outside if I want. And this is something that he is using as a means of monitoring. This is somebody that is doing so very ignorantly because it's also not a violation of the rules that are actually in effect here. But I just want to be clear, even just to know as a matter of as a principle, the entity that's engaged in surveillance doesn't have actually actual authority under the law. That's the principled argument, but I'm getting to the entity that is targeting and doing so while in their alternate universe, you're making up a means to be in my presence. You're stalking me. That's like stating that I am filming somebody violating them sexually in the bathroom, and there was no occasion. Nobody was in the bathroom, even in the bathroom with me on any date where this has happened. And someone that I supposedly sexually violated, they sure are quiet. Nobody said anything that I violated them. Nobody told me when I violated them. I don't know who it is that I supposedly violated, but yet this is what the entity is using to engage in what is targeting you, not in violation of the grounds of this civic center area, which is not barring the ability. You are able to skate through, you are able to ride your bike through, you are able to walk your dog through, you are able to have a cigarette and come outside, you are able to have a conversation on your phone outside, and I'm able to stand outside and use the Wi-Fi. That is still available, and it is not closed down at 9 o'clock. This is the entity that is, again, engaging. You can hear him clearly and blatant. He's cussing at me. He's aggressively raising his voice at me. He's standing over me, and you're also analyzing the stalker. This is while the airport is stalking. This is the government that's doing that. In other words, the government that is targeting me based on a rule that doesn't exist, and also doing so in furtherance of murdering and kidnapping me, and then engaging in what is as his audible activity method, threatening to summon the kidnappers themselves, the kidnappers that I'm documenting stalking me in an absurdly psychotic and obsessive manners on the roads and the highways, using helicopters, doing so while stalking me like I'm capturing this morning while I'm walking through the neighborhood. And they are stalking in the path, engaging in psychological torture. This is the entity that's doing that. This is everything that Leo is engaging in, and he's an ignoramus engaging in gang stalking. And he's going to cost people money, and he's also going to federal prison. This is what a population does. What this demon is doing, and doing so as an ignorant person, this is what a population does. You have dozens and dozens of people on an ongoing ceaseless basis that are harassing you, and they're doing so as the entity. And as they harass and violate you, then they summon the gang members of any police department on you. You're going to prison while you are vocalizing threats, while you're engaging in any manner of ongoing collateral harm, while you're already gang stalking. Collateral harm means federal prison if it's not already a basis of federal prison. All right, so the entity that is gang stalking you and then engaging in criminal defamation, defaming your character as an audible, that is federal prison. So you're going to document the gang members. While they're defaming your character, remember that's audible activity that's automatically published. So you're defaming the person that you're gang stalking and further into murdering them. It's also a threat for regarding kidnapping. The entity that merely speaks out loud that you're crazy while they're gang stalking, you literally understand kidnapping is just like that established. Oh, we've got a mentally ill person, and they literally spread the word and create that fact in their alternate reality. This is how the gang members engage in targeting an American citizen. They create the reality. They create the facts. And so you are going to absolutely be prosecuted for what you are monitoring by, okay? It's audible activity, it's published. It's automatically published, and you're going to be prosecuted for that. This third party is going to prison. He engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police, and he did so tonight as well upon all of what is this false basis, and he is literally obsessive and unhinged in it. He's being ignored. I stood right here and continued using the Wi-Fi, which he's monitoring through this harassment. And then you have Sefakunda and Galban, two gang members that I have been monitored by before, meaning I've been in their presence before, but I have not had extensive conversation with them, and that's because, and I know that because I can't recall their name, especially Sefakunda. He has a very unique name, if that's really his name. I'm assuming that they're not switching name badges. These are gang members, they're totally corrupt, so I don't put anything past them. But Sefakunda is not familiar, but his face is familiar. I'm just documenting all the details. I do have an image of them walking away. I am going ahead and entertaining criminal summoning. It's a threat to my life just because I entertain it, meaning just because I don't react and I don't pull out video and, oh, you're threatening my life, because they are. I'm not exaggerating when I capture that. But I did not capture the video. I spoke with Sefakunda, and I spoke with then his partner, Galban, who are both gang stalking me. They're already monitored. This is the illusion, and that's a threat to my life. Very easily taking my life and then controlling the facts regarding even piggybacking off of the narrative that Leo Securitas would create. This is how American citizens die every day. Because of that real-time threat that's posed to me, that's prison, all right? And it's not different because I am able to either tolerate an exchange with them or just record video because I don't have to deal with it, and I'll document you and put it either way, okay? Because I am able to withstand this and I document it. It does not change the law, it doesn't change the policy, it doesn't change the rules, it doesn't change the standards. It's not a subjective, it is an objective standard, okay? But Sefakunda and Galban are the two that arrived pursuant to criminal summoning. It is criminal activity. They are maliciously present. They're already stalking. They are doing so through the facilitation of Securitas and Leo, who is engaging in what is targeting me. And you can hear in the video when I ask him, why do I have to leave? Because there's no rule. And he immediately says, what is the truth? Because he said so. All right, and the reason why he is stating that is not only because he's ignorant, is because he doesn't have an authority to rely on. And then he states what is a fictitious authority, meaning it's not real, because there is no rule, there is no standard that states that you have to not be in the in this area at all, because everybody is violating. Well, of course, while they're gang stalking, they're violating, but even while they're all acting like they're law-abiding citizens and that nothing's happening, which nobody believes. But while they do that, they're walking their dogs, they're coming on and off the property, riding their bikes while they're stalking with light, they're with their kids, they're on their skateboards, et cetera, and he's targeting me. And then you have the gang members that are monitoring as an entity, so nobody's riding their bikes and on their skates and sitting on the bench and having a smoke when he is targeting me for sitting outside in the same manner that they are at every other time. That doesn't make, this is the gang conduct. I don't care. I'm not fazed by that, but I'm just going to lay that out. This is what the entity will do. But you're paying attention to my documentation while I'm capturing the airport stalking me at 10:30 and I'm on the side of the library. And the Asian family with the 3 minor children who are gang stalking, they've got lights on the bottom of their shoes. That's how they have their demon-possessed children monitoring me. And they're coming around with their strollers. And the teenagers that are gang stalking me with the entity that's stalking by helicopter, doing so after 9 p.m. while I'm documenting the people of the state, stalking by remaining in front of the C Street turn circle with their hazard lights on, not engaging in anything. The library is closed, and if it's closed, then that means why are you sitting here parked in front of the venue with your hazard lights on, just freely engaging in gang stalking? They're free to do that as well, but this area is closed though. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that's also on the record. The entity that is here well after 9 p.m., including him on video gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department and the Ontario International Airport. While the entity is engaging in this is what you're mindful of. I will document that Galban, Galban, and Sefacundo are here, and they make decisions, and all of them do. And this is what you're going to learn about this gang violence. I don't care what your department is doing. You're going to make a decision. It's a toxic environment. And it's not just because regarding toxic masculinity and a toxic environment regarding being your brother's keeper. And if they're all doing toxic, immoral, corrupt things and you don't report on your brother, you don't do the right thing, you do the wrong thing with everyone else. That's essentially that toxic culture. But what you're going to learn with regard to being prosecuted as a terrorist is you're going to have to start making decisions on your own. And if you don't want to go to federal prison and have your family left impoverished and while you're locked up and they're not getting any retirement from you, they're not getting any 401k that you built up. You're not getting that. Those are the benefits that are present for what are those that are engaging in the execution of officers, and you are immediately stripped of that. It's not your property. It will remain with the entity, the employer, essentially the state. You're not getting it when you are immediately released and prosecuted, disbarred, whatever the circumstances are, as a terrorist. While you're prosecuted, you're not getting that, and I hope everybody understands that. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and you're going to start making your own decisions instead of going with the flow of what all the demons are doing while they are engaging in what is essentially following the leader that is leading you into the pit of hell, leading you to federal prosecutions as terrorists, with this toxic culture that is the reality of this policing system. Even though it's not law enforcement, it is criminal surveillance, and that is the absence of the ability to exercise independent thought. That is going to cause you and those connected to you to suffer. And these repercussions, these consequences are those that would cause a reasonable person, a sound person, somebody that's not completely numb yet, not totally given over with regard to a lost, hollowed out soul, someone that would wake up and determine that it's not worth it with regard to what is your line of duty. And it's not to be engaged in criminal surveillance, getting away with it by putting on a police uniform and disguising yourself as a police officer. And that disguise is known. It's capable of being found out. That's what the P.O.C. serves. And when you are found out, you are going to be treated and prosecuted and removed as the terrorist that you are, like Osama bin Laden and anybody else that is unfit to wear a police uniform in any of these states in this country. You're not different, and you're going to be treated just like that. I hope you're ready for it, because that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. So the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, they are, Sefakunda and Galban arrive, and they are, I'm speaking to them, and they're pouncing, they're looking around for something. Well, you're storing your property. No, me having a backpack and my backpack being on the ground is not storage. Next issue. The entity is essentially, and this is what's so annoying about it, because the reality is, if you don't know better, if you don't know the law, if you don't know the policy, and if you don't know how even to talk to people that are just poking around and looking for something, then that's how they get you. If I didn't know that it's not closed right now, the entity's seeking to intimidate you, bully you, and Sefakunda was willing to go off of the erroneous information. He knows that. But it's whether you know that or not. And I do know that. And I do stand on that. And I reiterate, that's not the policy, that's not the law. But if I did not know, it would have gone a different direction. And that is what is speaking to the ways in which American citizens are targeted. Okay, this is happening based upon ignorance of rights. And also, even if you know your rights, you're being you're being bullied into thinking that perhaps you're not right or that you are still wrong somehow. And moreover, regardless of whether your knowledge of your being right or whether how strong you are and knowledgeable you may be and informed that you may be, this is an entity that engages in what is bullying, period. And without evidence, without the ability to protect yourself and prosecute, this is an entity that murders people, kidnaps people, and bullies them by pure numerosity of all of the people that say it's not A, it's F. Even if it is A, everybody that is lying on you says F together, and that's the reality. That's what gang stalking is about. That's what this government system is engaging in. They are literally stalking by airplanes while Sefacundo and Galban are in my presence. They're gang stalking, just like Leo, not different, gang stalking, doing so pursuant to what is a non-existent policy. And then Leo, who is going to federal prison, and the policy is that Sefacundo and Galban as well. But I'm going to go ahead and document that they are, while they're looking for something, and I have to immediately address it, even though it's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that, but this is the reality. Okay, yeah, you're talking about, oh, that's storage. No, that's not storage. How is that storage? This is very obvious. It's annoying, and if it's just the entity that is engaging in what is pouncing on what they think you might not be aware of, or what they think that you don't have a response for, or what are you going to say about this? And look at you. This is an entity you're here pursuant to harassment. And I'm not even getting into the analysis regarding the fact that you're gang stalking. Okay, analyzing the whole stalk, you have a gun on your waist. You're in a city-issued vehicle that is speaking to authority under the law that you don't actually have while you're keeping me under surveillance, but you're acting like you do have that authority, which is a threat, and you're doing so pursuant to a system that is slanted to legitimize your criminal conduct, which is threatening and terrorizing me. That's a threat, and you're here pursuant to what is a made-up basis for you to be in my face, and you already know that it's not a violation, and you also know who I am. It's a means of you targeting me, stalking me. That's all manner of a threat by the stalker. Galvan and Sefacundo, that's federal prison right there. I did speak with them, and I did let them know that Leo is harassing me. They know that. But I'm speaking, like I said, I'm just speaking to them, and I document everything. So the feds are watching, and the Ontario police that are monitoring I don't care. You're going to watch yourselves be prosecuted as well. You're going to watch my prophecies come to fruition as well. Okay, but the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I just want to make sure that's clear. By the way, that's the people that stay in this area that's not closed while they're monitoring. Audible activity, light activity. This demon's over here pacing with his dog. There's nothing closed down over here. Ontario police knows that, and they know that also while Leo is here gang stalking in the same manner. Okay, this is I just want to be clear on that. But like I said, this is an entity that's arriving, talking about me having a backpack does not equal storage while you're talking about the municipal. This is a reach. In other words, this is a desperate, failed attempt to try to find something. There is nothing, and you're here again. But again, it's a non-issue that you shouldn't have to deal with. It's harassment, and it's pursuant to an ongoing threat against my life, a threat to commit kidnapping. It's something that easily, in other words, escalates. Very much easily escalates, especially for the unsophisticated targeted individual. And by unsophisticated, I don't mean that you're some fool, that you're some ignorant person that need to go to law school. By unsophisticated, it's a term of art. What I mean is someone that is unskilled in how to deal with corrupt police officers who are relying on certain tactics to jumble you up, to confuse you, to have you tripping over, even if you are particularly prepared, if you will, to say this and that pertaining to a certain response by the police. They'll try to trip you up. Remember, they're monitoring spirits, so they're aware of what it is that you're prepared to say in response, or whatever it is that you think that you're ready for. They are coming at you from multiple angles. Not only are they gang stalking by the police, helicopter, and airplanes, doing so in the specific environment in concert with the people of the state. That's working on your subconscious, but they are also intimidating you while they are physically in your presence, operating in a position that they are unfit to be in, while they are also, moreover, speaking to you and asking questions, intending to trip you up in one way or another. These are all things that they're doing at the same time. That's what I mean by unsophisticated. Okay, I am not getting to any sort of intellectual ability. I am certainly not speaking to the fact that you're a target individual and therefore you're a dummy, or you have to be some college educated person. I'm not getting to that, and I'm not that type of person. Now, when you hear me talk to these demons or talk about these demons, that's another story. Okay, but I'm not talking about the ordinary targeted individual. Those of you on whose behalf I am advocating, because this is, if it's happening to me, understand it's very easily happening to you. So just understand that. That's what I mean by unsophisticated. I know exactly what it is that everything that they're doing, they're just looking for a way in. These are snakes. Okay, so I am already well versed in the law. I also am aware of the fact that these are demons that want to be scary. They look for my attention. They would love to be able to kidnap me. And even if it's on some superficial, sophomoric, literally imaginary bases of the municipal code, oh, you're storing, we're going to take you to, this is the, and it sounds like a joke on the one hand, but it's very serious because the principle remains. You have a right, period. That's enough. I have a right to not be subject to it. We're not even going to get to, in a court of law, when you're dealing with the law and order, you wouldn't even get to that analysis about the municipal code or anything. What are you here for? You're stalking. You were already stalking. Okay? But like I said, this is an entity that's engaging in coming at the unsophisticated targeted individual in multiple ways at the same time. And they are typically overwhelming someone. They're typically tripping you up. They're typically changing the direction in order to make it go in however manner that they want it to go in. And this is not being pessimistic or cynical. This is the reality. You have no business engaging in surveillance. That's why they have not told the American people that they are engaged in surveillance, which they are. Moreover, the fact that you are forced to expose the fact that you're engaged in surveillance, you engage in surveillance while you are trying to represent your whole purpose as another thing. You're totally untrustworthy. This is not pessimism. This is the reality. This is the fact. They are lying, and that's a system that is lying. This is not, I hate the police. It has nothing to do with that. That's nonsensical. It's nonsense. That's not what this is about. When you lie about anything, you are untrustworthy. They're not just liars, they are liars for a reason. Meaning there's a whole substantive purpose for why they are lying, and the lie is huge. In order to maintain that ongoing lie regarding the whole reality, they commit kidnappings, they misrepresent facts, they commit killings. They will seek to intimidate you under the circumstances, and you can wind up arrested, which is a kidnapping, under the facts. And that's just because you didn't know your rights. You didn't know what was the best response. You didn't know, because you're dealing with in many ways, you're just dealing with your ability to soundly respond to somebody that's trying to contend with you, either intellectually, which they can, or with regard to your knowledge about what is going on in the environment. Do they want to see, do you know your rights? Do you know that, what's going on here? Are you paying attention to the facts? Did you hear what I just said, trying to trip you up? And this is why I document them, because it's all tactics. All right. And this is not some ego trip. I am certainly not advocating or supporting, or even I am not out here trying to make a point and going back and forth with these demons. Are beneath me. Okay, I don't go out seeking them out. They're stalking me, and I document it. Period. There is no point to prove I am who I am. That's why you pull out helicopters to follow me around, and don't you ever forget that. There's a reason for it. There isn't, however, something to be learned from regarding the type of dynamics that are at play when you are being targeted, when you are subject to being confronted by those that don't even have a right under the law to confront you. And a large percentage of this is being prepared, being knowledgeable about how to deal with what is a system that is designed to target those that are merely ignorant. Okay? And also that is, again, I'm somebody that knows the law. I am somebody that knows how to deal with those that are inherently corrupt. And the entity has kidnapped me plenty of times. This is the entity that does so. We'll straight up get to, you know what? I don't care that you're knowledgeable. I don't even care that you're right and I'm wrong. I'm going to kidnap you, period. That's literally what they go to. Okay? That's literally what they go to. So this is why the system is going to be, and that's what it is now. This is what's being enforced. And this is going to disincentivize that bully system. You're not even a police officer. Police officers don't do that. Law enforcement does not incorporate this at all. So you get calls to come and engage in surveillance in someone's face. You are already privy to who I am, what I'm talking about, what I'm doing on my phone, the exchange before you got there. You're a whole psychopath acting like you're here learning and surveying, and you're a psychopath. And that's exactly what you hear me talk to them like, in a factual manner. Okay? And because those that are engaging in this conduct, they need to be humiliated. They need to be called what they are. They refer to themselves and esteem themselves much higher than they ought to. And when really you're just a vagina monitor. You're a psychopath stalking in commercial planes. You seek out the most expensive way to stalk me? What kind of unheard of foreign mental illness do you have rotting your brain? You're sick. There's something wrong with you. Seriously. That's beyond weird. Okay? And that's the reality. And they do so while they abuse positions. And counting on you to be intimidated, counting on you to be fearful, counting on you to be feel like you're outnumbered, counting on you to feel like your voice doesn't matter, okay? Counting on you to just give up, okay? Because it's coming out of a mouth of somebody that's wearing that uniform that makes it right. No, actually, that's not what the law reflects at all whatsoever. And because you abuse your position and get those types of results, more often than not, that still does not make that a fact. That's not a fact. Just because you wear that uniform and say that it is F does not mean that F is true at all. Okay? So this is, again, speaking truth to what is abuse of power. But nonetheless, Stefakundo and Galban come. I do tell them, and I am entertaining the nonsense to a degree, almost speaking in jest with them. Because it's, you know, but it could have taken a turn. Like I told them, and they know, you come talking crazy, the documentation is ready to go up on the internet, and everything that you say, even when it's a quote unquote friendly exchange. Okay. It's still not, I just want to be clear. It's still not less of a threat at all. It's not less of a threat. It's not less criminal. I just want to be clear on that. There is no law that says that the nature of the conversation is less criminal surveillance than not. Or if I end up laughing while you're engaging in surveillance, I'm dealing with what is a corrupt entity, and I deal with it very well. I deal with it very well. It's not getting to me. I'm on top of the case. And in fact, the case is already complete. I am adding to a list of people who are going to prison. They need to go to prison. And this is a part of cleaning up the streets out here, because they are actually going to be going to federal prison. And this particular department is being disbanded. But this is not changing, because it's not going to be based on, and in court, it's not going to be, oh, you know, this is, not a threat. This is not gang stalking because I'm laughing right here. Right? That's absurd. In the same way that they're it's like stating that there's no gang stalking going on under the fake sun because nobody looks up and addresses the fake sun. Is it there or not? All right, because the elements don't change. If everyone acts like the helicopter isn't flying in circles over me for 17 minutes, it's not happening. Is that how that works? No, that's not how that works. So I'm conducting an investigation as a one-woman team, okay? Well, it's me and Christ, okay? And I am clothed in his authority, and I'm doing this by myself. Nobody is helping me. Nobody comes and picks me up when they're kidnapping me. Nobody is stopping them from putting needles in my foot while I'm sleeping, and nobody's waking me up. Nobody's stopping them from doing that. Nobody is stopping them from stealing my property. They stole my $2,000 laptop. Nobody stopped them from doing. Nobody gave me a replacement. Nobody is helping. Nobody is helping me do that. No one, and no one has. So me handling this investigation is me handling this investigation, and I do what's necessary when it is necessary, and I am the one that is able to estimate that. I know what I'm doing, and I've been doing that, and it's not going to be based on whether I am dealing diplomatically or whether I'm dealing more aggressively based on the threat that's in front of me. Okay, so this is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and I will document because I don't hold back any facts. The fact that Stefakundo and Galban listened to me state that Leo was harassing me and that he's systematically harassing, and we're all in agreement. Clearly is no violation. They're out here riding their bikes and rollerblading with their kids and walking their dogs and talking on their phone and walking back and forth. It's not closed, and there's also no signage to that. And also the City of Ontario is making their Wi-Fi available for you to use in this area after 9 o'clock. This is an entity that is engaging that. Sefakundo and Galban are present in its criminal activity, okay? But it is criminal activity that was no more escalated. That does not mean that it's less of a threat to my life. Do you understand that? Because that's the truth. So I just want to document that. This is P.O.C. Leo is going to federal prison, and he's going to federal prison for ongoing harassment, and this is the entity that is desperate to engage in harassment. This is literally, I just want to document, this is very plausible. The entity that knows that they don't have anything to approach me with will literally use someone like this third-party security guard as a means of wanting to gang stalk me conspicuously, knowing that it's not a violation, but it's just a means for them to understand that that's the level of desperation that is there. Whether or not that is actually the specific circumstances, but you're gang stalking, they're monitoring. And the entity is that desperate to engage in any sort of means of harassing me. Even through this, when you are literally just coming up with stuff to then summon the police just for me to deal with that and say, okay, this is absurd, there's no violation here. And that being a part of the plan in the first place. They know it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, but I just want to be clear, the entity engages in that. They are on the same team, it's the one entity. And yes, they do that intentionally, knowing that that's not going anywhere. But again, that's based on the people of the state. That's based on your knowledge. A lot of times that can go somewhere. If you're dealing with somebody that doesn't know, easily intimidated, and they want to bother you, and you can end up being harassed by them if they feel like, oh, they've got you somewhere, and you don't know any better, and they harass you and they get you to leave, and you have a right to stay, all right? Or they get you on a point where you're not in violation, and then you end up getting kidnapped on a point that they don't even have a point, but you don't know that. They do that all the time. And it's kidnapping upon gang stalking. It's not just a false arrest, that's tortious conduct. You are not a tortfeasor, you are a terrorist, you're a felon. It's different. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:25 p.m.